You see, we Irish, when we talk, we answer a question first, and then we ask it. Have you noticed that? We say things like, you won't have a drink, will you? Or you're not going out, are you? Do you know what I mean? We talk like that all day. We're also famous for saying things that aren't necessary. All day long we say things that aren't necessary. You could live in Ireland for 50 years beside your neighbour, and if you meet them in the street, they look at you and they'll say, ha ha, is that yourself? Who else? It's no secret, by the way, that we Irish are very partial to a little drink. This fella Flanagan came home the other night with a lot of drink on him. His wife said, you're home. He said, I am. It's the only place that's open. Did you ever see people coming out of pubs in Ireland when they close at night? Have you seen them? They're beginning to walk like that. Did you ever see them walk like that? Yeah, not to spill any. Get it done.
What is going on, guys? You're very welcome to another Degenerate Watch live stream. I thank you very much for joining me. I'm sorry about Saturday night that the stream didn't go ahead, as I don't know if some of you have seen the community post that I put up there. I just didn't get the stream sorted in time, and then by the time I actually did get it done, it was too late. So I would have been a bit rushed and a bit short notice, but this stream will be better than the one on Saturday night would have been anyway. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Anyway, we'll wait till a few people get in here and then we'll start looking at a few clips and stuff like that. I'm going to just check the comments now in a second. I just want to change my background there. Hello to John Bender, who's joined us, and hello to Kiwi Dave. I see you've changed your name, Dave, and no one's going to mistake where you're from now. They won't be thinking that you're in Australia there. They'll know exactly where you are. Yeah, feeling much better now. It's kind of I had this bit of a cough with the cold, like, you know, and it's still just a bit tickly, but it's not really, you know, it's nothing major. Like, it's just about shifted anyway. So we're just about back to normal here anyway. Hope everybody out there's doing well. Hello to USA there. I see you joining us as well. So I was supposed to do this on Saturday, and then I was going to do it on Sunday, but Sunday ended up being a bit busy, so I decided I'd do it tonight. And I would have liked to have obviously posted a bit earlier, but I don't know, I scheduled the post about, I'd say about 20 minutes before, because I think sometimes when I post a community post at the same time as I'm going live or doing a premiere, I think it kind of conflicts with the notifications and messes it up a bit. And John said he's watching us from Topeka in Kansas. And what's it like there in Topeka, Kansas at the moment, like weather-wise? And so we have a few things to get through in this, a couple of news stories as usual with this sort of a live stream. And then I have a couple of other clips as well. There's a couple of Irish clips, kind of a Garda, small Garda compilation. And just looking through there, see what else. And then I have another one of it's kind of an old video, but a friend of mine sent it to me the other day, and I thought it was quite funny. It's about this guy that's resisting arrest, but it's just quite funny the way it happens. So we're going to watch that as well. And yeah, there's a few other bits there. So I'm just going to check the comments again. John saying cool mornings and warm evenings. Well, you can't complain about that, I suppose. And in West Virginia, it's 62 and overcast. USA, we care here. It's good to know what it's like where everybody is. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that it's decent down where Dave is anyway. Dave just said I won't tell you how it is here currently. It's probably nicer than here is at the moment, Dave. But anyway, just we'll jump into the first clip here. The first clip that I had was of just short clip, but we'll just have a little chat about it and see what you guys think. It was it's kind of David mentioned that there was a lot of these sort of smash and grab thefts going on near him or in New Zealand at the moment, and I just came across this the other day. It's this is in Los Angeles, but it's a bit of a smash and grab theft as well. But the brazenness of some of these people is absolutely unbelievable. So let's just have a look at this little clip here, and we'll jump back and we'll see what we make of it.
Beverly Hills police say they have arrested 3 people, including a juvenile, who pulled off a smash and grab robbery that netted them millions of dollars in jewelry. The thieves smashed the front plate glass window of luxury jewels of Beverly Hills with sledgehammers in March, stealing jewelry from a display case and taking off in a stolen car. A 4th suspect was already in custody in an unrelated case, and at least 2 others are still on the loose.
A very short clip there, but I came across that the other day and I thought it was kind of interesting with how brazen those people were. And with nowadays, with people having phones and cameras and dash cams in cars and CCTV everywhere, I don't know how some of them actually, have the, I just don't know how they actually go out and do that. Like, they're so brazen. But hopefully some of those people are apprehended anyway, because I'd say that was a fair loss to that store. And that's something like I haven't seen in a while, I suppose. Kind of one of those smash and grab jewelry heists where they'll just kind of smash the front window and take stuff. So a lot of stores that I've seen lately as well have, when you'd notice a lot of jewelry stores and they'd have like watches on display and all, and it is fairly a prime target, I suppose, unless you have some sort of a toughened glass. And hello to John Hanso, who's joining us as well, saying, looks like my state. Yeah, unfortunately, there's it tends to be a lot with the car chases, California, and now with some of these kind of weird thefts as well. But I don't think it can beat Florida for weirdness, I suppose, in the types of crimes that are going down there. But yeah, but I actually seen something the other day. I was looking at, they're saying that. You know, it's the DA in LA. They were saying they were criticizing him the other day about something. On some, I don't know. I was watching a news story about something, and they were criticizing the DA in Los Angeles that he was too soft. Oh, and that's what it was. That when it was some like county official were saying that in the county jail they were actually cheering this guy's name and calling him their homie because he was kind of just giving him a slap on the wrists. And John Hanso saying, I worked in the cannabis industry the past 13 years. 4 times someone tried to rob the shop I worked. And was that sort of a robbery for cash, or was it a robbery to actually get the product sort of a situation? Because I suppose like it would be a target, I suppose, for cash. But at the same time, you don't know if people are breaking in to try, steal the product and then maybe, I don't know, to use it themselves or to go on and sell it on the streets or something like that. But yeah, that's a mad one as well. And I do see that with with like more states like legalizing it and there's more dispensaries. I wonder, is that a thing in other states? And John said both. Yeah, and I'd say that's not, that's the thing. Like it's one of those sort of targets, John just saying there, but the shop I worked in, even the receptionist desk had a shotgun mounted under the desk. I wouldn't be surprised, but that's what you'd need, and I suppose in those sort of situations, because I don't know if you've seen that clip there. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was in California. I think it was like out in New York or somewhere where that guy came in to rob that smoke shop, and I think the store owner ended up stabbing the guy. When they tried to rob, 2 guys came in, and I think your man's buddy that was trying to rob the store with him ran off, and then the store owner had a knife under the counter and he ran out and stabbed the guy or whatever. And I'm not sure. I can't remember now whether that guy died or not. But yeah, they were trying to rob the place. But yeah, it can't be a nice experience at all. But yeah, like I just that's the thing. Like when people are going to work in places like especially like, do you ever see some of those? I find it odd because we don't see it a lot here in Ireland, but in a lot of the stores in America, I see in some of those, you know, in like kind of rougher areas, they might have like those bulletproof screens. So it's kind of like what they have with the whole pandemic. They have screens everywhere. But this was a thing before. They had like everything's behind like bulletproof glass or something. And I always found it very weird, like, because we don't really have that sort of thing here. But hello to Dennis Edmond who's joined us. I'm not doing too bad, Dennis, and good to see you here. And John Anderson, people drove a truck into the building because 2 walls were glass to the. Oh, so it's kind of you could smash through the front of the place, like. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and I find like nowadays as well, people are becoming more brazen when it comes to these crimes, like the thing we just seen there in LA, like where that's happening in broad daylight. And there's a like, I think there was one I was showing on the last clip as well, where those guys come up and stole from that UPS guy that was making the delivery to like some business or something like that. So, you know, with things going the way they're going at the moment, with the economies everywhere, I think you're going to see a lot more of this sort of thing, unfortunately. And Dennis is watching from Canada. And I've been asking people there, what's it like where they are? What's it like there in Canada where you are? And just there when we're talking about sort of an opportunistic theft, like with those sort of things there, I came across this other clip. It kind of fits in well with this. It's basically, another short clip, but it's this guy that's decided to help himself to some cable on the back of somebody's work truck. And, you know, karma's always waiting somewhere. So we'll take a look at this little clip. I'm pretty sure that brought him back to his senses there. I just thought that was funny. I actually thought he was going to rob that generator. The generator is probably the thing that's worth the most money on the back of that truck there. And I just don't understand why he's going for the reel of cable. But yeah. He's not so sure-footed anyway. And the worst thing as well is when you see those people robbing from people's work vehicles as well, and people have to go to work the next day, especially like people when they get their tools stolen and all, because a lot of those tools are expensive to replace. And hello to Photogenic, who's joining us there, and PMax also. And the thing as well is with those sort of thefts, you will see more of that. And a lot of those things, like when you see them happening here in Ireland, the stuff will be stolen and then it'll show up at a market like at the weekend and somebody will be selling them on, like, and that's happened a few times. And like, I think a few, and like not all the time, but sometimes they get lucky and they might be able to track down some of this equipment and get it back to the people and prosecute. But a lot of the time it just disappears and you'll probably never find it again. And yeah, John Benderson, the generator has a serial number, and that's right as well. And that'd be another thing that if that was stolen, it'd show back up. And that's the thing that I don't know if they probably do it in the States as well, but they have a kind of a campaign over here every now and again where they'll go out and they'll actually you know, engrave your like bicycle and like tools and work like the police here will, and it's just kind of, you know, so it'll be more easily identifiable, and they kind of just run a little campaign to do that. But yeah, it's terrible when people's tools and stuff get stolen, because it's not a nice thing, like, especially when that's somebody's livelihood, like. And USA saying should be the law, every time you get caught stealing, you have to lose a finger. And there'd be some people out there going around with 2 nubs at that stage, because there's some of them just don't seem to learn. Like that. Remember that guy a couple of videos ago, I did the guy that was stealing that construction equipment. He has so many previous convictions, it's not even funny. And he just keeps coming back for more and more. And it just seems like these people get into a cycle of that sort of thing, and wants to go into prison. It doesn't really reform them. It wants to get back out. See, if they're getting back out and they're going back to the same area, hanging out with the same people and all, like they're just gonna fall back into the same pitfalls again. And it's not gonna work out. It's only when you kind of get these people back on their feet somehow. But then again, there are some people out there that you just can't help. It'll just never sink in. But yeah, quite bad. And then John saying there, a pawn shop cannot buy something with a number on it, and that's good too as well. That what you do see from a lot of things is the majority of pawn shops and stuff like that would be above board and all like that, because it's their business. They don't want to get closed down. There was a guy I used to watch on YouTube. I haven't watched him in a long time now. It kind of, you kind of watch different stuff, and channels kind of get lost in the mix and all that. But it was called Craigslist Hunter, and he used to run a pawn shop. I think it was in Chicago somewhere. And he used to kind of just video in his shop and show the kind of runnings of his. It was kind of like a pawn shop, and he used to like buy and sell stuff on eBay, and all. It was quite interesting. He'd have some cool items coming in and out of the store, like. But people used to show up, and it used to be kind of good content when these like people used to show up, or weirdos used to show up with stuff, and they'd be kind of trying to flog it off to him, and he would get a bit suspicious about it, and the amount of people that do try chance their arm with stolen stuff is, and then he just have to call the police, or sometimes police might show up at the place asking him had he seen tools, or had anyone come in to offer stuff and all, like. So I suppose police having a good relationship with some of these stores as well, and scrapyards and all like that, is probably good, because you can kind of keep their ear to the ground, and if there's stuff starting to show up. But that's the thing over here. What happens? There's a lot of those, the electrical wires. Like people actually, and this is the thing, people risk their lives for this sort of thing. But people actually go out and take down those power lines at nighttime and take the copper wire out of them, and then they go and try like selling on for scrap. And like that's pretty dangerous, like with those like power cables and stuff. But it also happens like with when there's a construction site and they're building somewhere. Well, like depending on how good the security is, but if you have some sort of a small place that's not really well secured, people could go in and strip the wires out of it and stuff like that. And it's crazy what people will do. No, Dave's saying they need to make prison labor hard again, just for the deterrent value. And see, just the thing as well, like a lot of the time, I feel in certain instances anyway, like the justice systems do be too soft on some people, and they keep kind of coming back, or they kind of have too much pity on certain people. It's it's hard. And then John Bender saying hard on crime used to be said by politicians. Today they're considered racist or something to make that promise. And that's the thing. If like we were looking at clips, I might even play the clips again, because there's a few people here that weren't in the last stream, but they're just a couple of short clips of that incident that happened in Dublin there last Monday. Basically, like there was a Garda car rammed by these mainly teenagers that were joyriding 2 stolen cars around a housing estate. And like there's no deterrent with these people, because they know that they're under 18 and that they're just going to be brought back to their parents. And some parents will deny, my son doesn't do that, or it was just in with the wrong crowd or whatever, and it'll be a slap on the wrist, and it'll be out doing it again in a week's time or a couple of days time. And like if you say to someone, well, if the guards come in there and when they get them lads out of the car, give them a good hiding, like people be saying, no, you can't do that. They're only teenagers, not. But like I wouldn't condone violence or nothing like that. But I'm saying that, like, how do you get people that just won't see a different way? Like how like I suppose I don't condone beating something into somebody, but like at the same time that you do think sometimes if these people had got a little bit of a slap now and again, maybe they wouldn't be out doing that. But I don't know. It's kind of it's kind of hard, yeah. And see, that's Dave's just saying there about like broken homes or something like that. And this the thing, like if you're coming from kind of a disadvantaged background or an area where there's no hope and all, and I think we were saying something about this the last time, but if you're coming from those sort of areas, like, you know, you kind of, there's a whole stigma attached to the thing, and like you're, you know, if you're brought up thinking that, you know, you're lower class or that, you know, there's no hope for you, yeah, of course you're not going to see any better way for yourself, and you're just going to get involved in all these bad things. But like, you know, it's really hard, and they just need to, I suppose, as we said, put more services in areas. But of course that takes money, and money's something that they don't like to spend. Like I just a thing about that, with money they don't want to spend over here, like with this whole cost of living thing and the budget that's coming up here, there's kind of groups saying that they should add €20 to all, you know, social welfare payments and for pensioners and people that are unemployed and stuff like that. And you know, the government's not going to give €20 extra on these payments, which even €20 extra, if we're going to be fair, that'll be sucked up immediately with the price of things now. So they don't want to pay that to pensioners and, you know, like people that are having a hard time. But at the same time, the ministers and the government will be getting a raise of €1,000 soon in their pay packets. Like, and there's a lot of criticism about that. They're saying, you know, they can't spend money on people that are struggling, even though they're coming out on TV and saying that we want to help people and stuff like that. But you know, if they're going to spend the €20 on the pensioners, they're not going to have the money for their bonus, well, or their top up or whatever you want to call it. But and Dave's in a good hard slapping. We'll do some of these crotch goblins a world of good. And see, that's the thing though, like you often think that like there's some countries out there where the police can be fairly heavy-handed, but actually there's actually a clip I have coming up in this stream. It's not so much heavy-handed, but it's a tactic you wouldn't probably see anywhere else being used. And you know, like there's a lot of people in like law enforcement, like in other countries, that are a lot harsher, and you know, there's more of a deterrent there because people know, like, the police don't mess around. But if, you know, law enforcement's known to be soft, you know, people aren't going to have a deterrent. And John Hunzo saying, I'm convinced everyone needs to get their ass beat once. It throws life into perspective. Well, that's true. Some of those like teenagers and all that are going around would be, you know, some of them have probably never been in a fight before, and they probably go around acting the hard man and stuff like that. And if they did meet the wrong person one night and they gave them a good hiding, they'd probably think twice about opening their mouth to somebody again. There is people out there that are like that kind of, they do a lot of talking and then they end up, you know, coming across the wrong person some night, or someone that's having a really bad day, and then they learn all about, you know, keeping to yourself or whatever. Dave said €20 would only buy 2 packs of weed, etc. But €20, like, I like, if I could put it into perspective, I suppose. I'm trying to think of something like, yeah, most like packs of, let's say, a pack of cigarettes over here. A pack of cigarettes might be about €20 for 20 cigarettes. I'm not sure now. It's something around that anyway. Pouches of tobacco, there's some of them that are about that sort of price. So like, I suppose, like, for pensioners and people that are like that and stuff, and the shopping as well, that's another thing that's constantly going up, you know. So it's hard. Like, what, like the more, I suppose, whatever they give, it's going to be sucked up straight away, unless they kind of deal with this whole inflation business. But I see as well, now that we're just saying about that, another thing that it's a bit worrying. I've seen a few reports of it. They're talking about there might be a bit of trouble going on over there in China at the moment. Now, it's rumors at the moment, but there's rumors going around on like Twitter and stuff like that the president over there might be under house arrest or something like that, and some general might be trying to run the show. But I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really looked into it much. None of the main news outlets are running with it. It's kind of just, you know, talk and rumor at the moment. But if something is happening over there, that doesn't look good. considering all the exports that come from China in terms of, like, you know, electronics and stuff like that. And then Dave saying there, which is a good point, I wouldn't mind if it was being paid directly to, say, the power company, instead of it going to some people's back pocket where it would be used to buy more smokes and booze. And see, that's the thing too. There are people out there that would, you know, probably waste that money on, like, drink and stuff like that. And, you know, that's obviously not what the government are giving it out for. They're giving it out for people to, you know, deal with the rising cost of everything. And they have been looking at kind of putting a credit on people's electricity. They've already done that, but they're thinking about doing it again. But no, I totally understand where you're coming from there, Dave, because there are people that do squander the money, and especially when it comes to people that have families, you know, and they're getting like a payment for a family payment or something like that. And, you know, you'd rather that money being spent on, you know, the children or the family home or something than, let's say, the parents going out and having a night out down at the pub because they got an extra few bob or something. So yeah, no, totally agree with that sort of thing. And I think there was something like that in Australia before. Remember, I think there was something like that a while ago where there was, you know, for people that were like maybe abusing the system, they were kind of bringing in something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I heard something like that where they might have been bringing in something where you can only spend the money on certain things or in certain places or something. But yeah, if they are trying to help people with the cost of living, like bills and stuff like that, it kind of, yeah, if they did put a credit on the electricity bills, it would be a lot better in terms of, you know, it'd be going for the purpose that it was intended. Then Kiwi Dave saying China's leader was at the UN last week judging Russia over some small invasion. Yeah, I'd probably downplaying it, but still, like, I think they're not really taking sides too much. They're trying to be, I think they're trying to be sitting at straddling both sides of the fence, to be honest, you know. But now that I knew Russia will be brought up at some point in the stream, because it seems to be the thing now, hopefully, as has happened before, that they don't take the stream down as soon as we mention Russia, like. But we should be okay. But I have this clip that I came across there. It's a sure sign of why the Russian advance is failing over there, because their new submarines are no good. And this is a good clip. We'll take a look at this clip, and yeah, these new I don't know what you'd call them. These new what they believe are submarines. Let's take a look at this. So you can see why that's not really working out over there. That's not a submarine. Those were probably lads sent from the Navy, and they thought they were in a submarine. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what he thought closing the hatch was going to do. It's probably not watertight. But yeah, and then they hit a big sheet of ice. How did they not see that? It's like a mini version of Titanic happening in a armored personnel carrier that they think is a submarine. But I don't know. That's very strange. I've seen a lot of kind of blunder clips like that over there where there's a lot of nonsense going on. But my favorite clip probably of the whole thing was the one where that farmer was towing away one of those armored. It was either an armored personnel carrier or a tank with his tractor. He was like kind of claiming it for himself. So I'd say in Ukraine, when all this is over, there'll be like farms all over the place full of military equipment. Hello to Texas CU who's joining us. Yeah, I see him there in the chat. And Kiwi Dave saying, yeah, both Aussie and New Zealand are issuing credit card style payments that the benefits, so they can only be used in certain places for restricted items. And see, that's probably because the system has probably been abused over time, and they've had to bring something like that in and to make sure that the stuff is going to the right place. Especially like, and that's what I just said a minute ago. Especially if it's like involves a family with kids and stuff like that. John Benderson, amphibious vehicle. See that's the thing, and then they hit the big shade of ice. But I wonder how many like there's plenty of equipment's been lost to like being hit and destroyed. But I wonder how much equipment's been lost to stupidity at the same time. But yeah, there's been a lot of crazy stuff in that conflict, like in terms of the way Russia are running their operation. It's yeah, it's very shocking to be quite honest. Because up until this conflict, I really thought that Russia were like a decent had a decent military. You know, I knew like probably stuff was outdated and all that. There was kind of, you know, that there was money needed to be put into it more so, but I didn't think it was as bad and shocking as what's happening over there. It seems to be a real you know, kind of a whole ramshackle operation. It's kind of just now at the moment it seems like they're just winging it, and now they're trying to get all these like reserves called up. I actually seen there's a guy I watched. He's from Russia. He moved out there about 6 months ago, and he's living in Georgia now. And he was just saying that a friend of his the other day actually got his papers in the post for him to go to this recruitment center, you know, to like be, you know, sent off to the front lines or whatever. And this guy has said like, you know, no way. Like, so he's headed off to the border and headed out through Mongolia. I think he actually left just a day or two around when his papers arrived or whatever. So he got out of there. But like when he doesn't show up, they're going to be looking for him. So he doesn't know if he's ever going to be able to go back home again. Well, at least with that current government that's there, you know, unless things change. But yeah, so that's very scary. I just don't know how that would feel, you know, to be, you know, living your life or whatever, and then just get told, oh, like you have to go join this war. Like it's just crazy. Like, and you know, and if you don't, you're gonna, you know, probably get locked up. Like, you know, and it's just scary. Like, especially like for young people and all that. Like, and it's just like it's just unreal. I see it's Stefan Saint Germain is joining us there. Hello to you, and is just saying there. Just watch the traffic on the roads getting out of Russia. I believe it's supposed to be absolutely insane. And even I think that guy that I was talking about was saying that in Georgia that like there's that many people coming across the border that there's like, you know, like overtures of people talking about or maybe having border closures and stuff like that. And that'll be pretty scary because some people will be trapped inside Russia and they're going to end up getting, you know, picked up or whatever. But yeah, so that's really bad. I just don't know how people are like coping with that over there. And as Stefan's just saying, hey, great pronunciation, thanks. I was hoping I wasn't going to butcher that there. Um, Kiwi Dave's just saying there was one person trying to use it to buy fuel vouchers and then turn around to use them to buy smokes and vape. And see, that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. You would have people doing stuff like that, and then of course if you have people that have like, you know, addictions like to drugs or gambling or something like that, then you know that money can disappear fairly rapidly. And I suppose in those situations, you know, having the money going into a set thing that it can't be abused is obviously good. Like there was a thing just there recently where there was some guy. I don't be on Twitch. I don't know if anyone here watches anything on Twitch, but I think they mostly stream gaming and stuff like that over there. But some guy that was a streamer over there, apparently was getting donations off like, you know, his followers or whatever, and he was saying that it was some hard time he was going through or whatever it was. But turned out in the end that this guy ended up that he had a gambling addiction and that's where the money was going. And a lot of people, like big streamers over on that platform, a lot of people over there like donated big money to him. Like I'm talking about some people like donated thousands, and turned out that this guy he had a gambling problem. And you see that's how things happen, you know. And there's a lot of people there out of pocket, like, and can't believe it, like. But yeah, The Texas CU there. Are you talking about what the kind of looting that's going on inside Ukraine? 'Cause I remember some of that at the start where the soldiers were going in as well to the shops and they were stealing the food out of the shops or stealing stuff out of people's homes and all that because they didn't have any supplies and they were hungry and stuff. But and that's like, I know it's wrong for them to be doing that, but like at the end of the day, like if you're hungry, I understand why they're doing it, and that's the regime's fault for like sending them in there with no supplies. Shouldn't be in there in the first place at all. But at the same time, like that's cause and effect. But I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying that's what ends up happening. So like, there definitely, when all this is finished and done with, hopefully soon, that there'll be some sort of justice done, but I can't really see, like, if they're going to try these people in like international criminal courts for war crimes and stuff like that. I like how it's going to be near impossible to get Putin out of Russia unless his own people give him up. Now maybe, if they're going to go for lower down fruit, they might want to give him up to save their own skin. But I suppose we'll just have to see. But I can see at the moment with this draft that's going on over there, I can see a lot of people getting upset. More protests as we've seen and stuff like that. But I can see a lot more people, that's going to affect an awful lot of families, sons, daughters, fathers getting sent off. So, not good. And John's saying there, I heard Putin is in an unknown well, and I'd say that, and I'd say he's pretty paranoid as well, with like in regards to his own people and who to trust, because with everything going so badly, and I'm pretty sure like in his headspace at the moment, he can't be in a good place. So, and I think that's why, like somebody mentioned that before, so he's like a kind of like backing a rat into a corner, or a wolf into a corner or whatever. Like they're going to bite, like, you know what I mean? And it's just, it depends on what sort of a bite he's going to give, like, but they're talking about, even if they deploy like a battlefield tactical nuke or whatever like that, like somebody was saying, I was watching I think it was it that guy Jordan Peterson or something like that. He was on the news and he was talking to a guy just saying that like he thinks that if they did something like that, like, even though NATO's kind of sitting there now saying that they're not getting directly involved, possibly if something like that happened, it might change the whole situation. And let's think about it, depending on where it's targeted and stuff like that. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Yeah, Dave said, I don't think Russia is even a member of the International Criminal Court anymore. And I wouldn't be surprised, to be quite honest. Like, a lot of it's kind of more a rogue regime now. It's kind of turned into, ever since, like, I couldn't believe when they invaded Georgia that time, and then ever since then it's kind of got more, outrageous. Like, it was Georgia, and I was kind of in there for a couple of, I don't know if it was even a week, or it was definitely a couple of days. Anyway, they were in there for a little while, and then they left. And then obviously the Crimea thing, that was a bit like crazy there. And now this is even more extreme. So like, hopefully it's not going to, build on that again. And then hopefully with a straitjacket and well medicated. Hopefully so. Hopefully he can't. And that's the thing. Would he be stopped? Do you think like people would ignore his order if he gave the order to like launch nuclear weapons? Do you think people would ignore the order? I don't know. It's kind of that's a good question. Yeah, and as Stefan saying, washers, dryers, and fridges. Yeah, and that's the thing. Probably to send them all back to Russia, to either for their own homes or to try sell them on. So yeah, very crazy. But yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to happen there. But hopefully it's not long before it's actually over. Yeah, and Kiwi Dave said, I would hope to think they would. And I'm kind of wondering, like, people say that too. Like I always think people in the West, let's say, you know, in like in the United States, if a crazy order came in like that, that was just, you know, by some rogue president or something like that, like you'd be able to nearly put your money on it that order would be ignored. You know, people would have the more, you know, the common sense, and that's why I just think about over there the way it's more oppressive, like as such. Would they do that? But you know, you'd like to think that they would. They'd say that this is like insane. But you know, crazy though, crazy. But he's always bringing out the kind of the threat of the new nuclear attack, and you know, let's just hope it is bluffing at this stage, or it's just bluster to kind of save face or something. But you know, it's hard to tell. So I'm gonna move on now to the next clip here. That I say this is another bit of a crazy one. I think things are just getting more outrageous these days. This is one, and actually these two clips here involve stuff with kids, and the thing about that is obviously tragic when it's anything involving a child, because you know they're innocent in the whole thing. The first clip we're going to take a look at, obviously I think this guy is having some sort of an episode or whatever, but luckily disaster was averted in this situation, and the police managed to sort this out. But you know, there's more and more of this sort of thing, and this is just one I came across there. This only happened not that long ago.
Maria Merriweather couldn't believe what she was seeing.
No, this is the part right here. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God!
I was afraid for the baby.
She was working on her graphic designs from her home studio on Wisconsin Street near Milford on the west side of Detroit at around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon.
And I heard chaos outside, so I went to go see. And I saw him running down the street with the baby.
She started recording a man walking down the street barefoot, holding a baby, with police on his heels.
The police were coming behind him, and he was yelling,
We ain't white, we what? We say it loud, baby.
The man walks to the corner and sets the child down.
No,
When police move in, he runs with the baby for the police car.
oh my God!
Then he threw the baby in the police car and tried to take off. And as they were trying to get him out, he started swinging on the police and fighting them.
You gonna fight the police?
And they tased him. He said it didn't hurt, and he kept running.
The man keeps running while an officer grabs the child. After the recording stops, neighbors did tell us that backup arrived and were able to catch up with the man seen in the video. DPD is not releasing any information about who this man was, his state of mind, or how that child is doing, or who that child belongs to. They say this is very much an active investigation.
So, a bit of a shocking case there. Obviously, anything that involves children like that is just worrying straight off the bat. But hopefully we find out a bit more about what happened there. I believe, judging by that clip there, that guy was having some sort of a mental episode or something like that. But I feel sorry, obviously, for the kid. And luckily, the police were there and nothing happened to the child, because I wouldn't like to think what might have happened if that guy hadn't have been seen. He didn't look in his right frame of mind. And then if he had actually got into that police car, what would have happened? Especially with the kid there, it's shocking. And that's the thing, like, there's a lot of these mad episodes you're seeing lately. And like I was saying, a lot of crazy violence going on. Just catching up on the comments there. Dave saying, I think his saving face has left the building. And I think so in that situation. Yeah, because it's pretty much a defeat at this stage, to be quite honest. And Dave saying, remember to hit that like button. And I actually forgot to say a shout out to anybody that's watching this on the replay. Usually I say that at the start. And anyone that's watching it on the replay, don't forget to hit the like button as well. KB this, it looks like the cop chest needs to lay off the donuts. Yeah, they didn't look too agile there at all. Did not look too agile, but luckily, I'd see, and John Bender's just saying there, drugs could be as well, because you see the way he didn't really react to the taser. It didn't really seem to do anything to him. He just kind of kept running away. But luckily, he was apprehended before he became a danger to somebody else. But yeah, and hello to Chuck. I just after seeing you in the comments there. Thanks for joining us. And Chuck saying, how many shots did it take to detain him? Until there are real consequences, this stuff will continue. And that's what we were saying a few minutes ago, Chuck, as well. Until there are consequences for these sort of actions, like there's no real deterrent. You know, the kind of, I suppose everywhere you see it that law needs to be tougher on crime, because it's got to the stage now where it seems to be getting softer, which is, you know, not the way we want to be going. Like, I'm not saying we want to be in some sort of totalitarian, you know, police state or nothing like that, but you know, you have to have some sort of law and order, and some of the sentences now for certain things are a joke. So, you know, and I'm speaking from like here in Ireland, like especially with things like bail, there's people committing crimes and they have previous for said crimes as well, and then they're getting let out on bail, and then when they're out on bail, they're committing other crimes, and like in certain instances, you know, people are either losing their lives or being seriously injured, and these people shouldn't be let out on bail if they're repeat offenders, you know. But see, you say something like that, and people say, "Oh, you can't do that," like, you know, because they have rights and all this. And I understand that they have rights and all that, but like, what about the rights to the people that are being violated all the time by the same offenders? Do you know what I mean? Like that, I just don't get that. You know, sometimes there's more outrage and sympathy for the actual criminals than the victims. In some cases there is, like, you know, but yeah, I think we're just going to see more of that. And what I will do now is, just because we're talking about that and consequences and stuff, I know some of you guys were here the last night when I showed these two clips of that car ramming in Dublin, but I'm just going to play those clips again. It's just two short clips of the same thing, but from two different angles. But it just shows what was going on. This was in Dublin, a place called Cherry Orchard in Dublin last Monday, and it's kind of gained national attention. This sort of thing has happened before, Garda cars getting rammed and stuff like that. It's just because this was so brazen, it was shared so much over social media, that it basically, it's a big talking point at the moment, and especially about antisocial behaviour and that whole subject. But I'm going to play these clips, and then see what you guys think, because I know there's a few people here that weren't in the last stream, so you probably wouldn't have seen them.
Oh, there's actually trade. There's one in the field. Everyone's home. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the hell? Quick.
So that's an angle taken from somebody's house across the road from an upstairs bedroom. And as you can see, the guards sped away there. But as I mentioned in the last stream, that's just procedure. If they're there and they're on their own, there's no backup. If their car gets disabled and they get surrounded by that gang that was basically baying for the people in the car to ram them, yeah, that's a safety issue, and they have to, you know, it's procedure or policy or whatever to get out of there. Now, obviously, after that, according to sources and according to the Gardaí themselves, they came in more heavy-handed after that, and the crowd was dispersed. But those two cars were burnt out in the end. There was raids on about 6 properties in Dublin in order to seize electronic devices, you know, in an evidence-gathering operation. But it remains to be seen what's actually going to be done about this. As far as I know, there's been no arrests yet. But you know, there's no deterrent for some of these, and we're going to look at the second angle, and this angle is just taken from across the road. So when you see that gang across the road from where the first recording is made, that's where that this next clip is going to be videoed from. I'm just having a look at the comments there. Kiwi Dave saying, let's be honest, if you break the law, you've given up those rights. And that's the thing. I've seen people in the United States. There was a Greg case years ago where a guy was breaking into a building and he fell through a skylight and broke himself up, and he actually sued the property owner. And I'm pretty sure don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure he actually won damages for his injuries because, like, but he was burgling that property. That just makes a whole joke out of the whole situation. And John Bender saying the Rolling Stones said in a song, "Every cop is a criminal, and all the sinners saints." And that's the thing, John. There's as we've said before, there are bad police. There's bad in every profession, I suppose, as well. But and that's true. All the sinners saints, and that's true. There could be criminals out there as well that are doing things, I suppose, to make ends meet. And I'm talking about your lower level criminals, and some of them could be decent people, I suppose. They might deserve a second chance, but some of these guys are just so brazen, though. Chuck saying in LA, a gang can walk into a shop, clean it out, and walk away scot-free. And I hear a lot of people saying that in a lot of the comments on my videos that I do anything about California. People are saying a lot of people are just unhappy with the justice system down there. They're saying it's too soft. It's like a slap on the wrist for a lot of these criminals. Some of them are in and out of jail like a merry-go-round, and there's nothing being done about it. And I mentioned that there just earlier in the stream about that there was criticism for the DA there about being too soft. The DA in Los Angeles about being too soft on crime. And Stefan is saying that if that was in the US, that guy would be dead. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that wouldn't have happened in the US. In the US, the police probably wouldn't have only went in there with one car. And just to make it clear, I'm not saying anything. That those were two female officers as well, on their own, in just two of them in the car. And I don't think, regardless whether they were female officers or male officers, that two Gardaí should have been just sent in there on their own when there was that much of a crowd in the area. But just before I forget, because I will forget, I'm just going to show the second view of that clip, which is taken from across the road there. You see, there's an awful lot of young people there as well. They can't be any more than 12 or 13 years of age, and it's just ridiculous. Especially, as I said before, people having to bring up families in the area and, having to put up with that sort of nonsense going on all the time. It's more than nonsense. It's downright, dangerous. And, yeah, Dave saying, think rewatching that you thought they were in a fairground dodging cars. And see, that's the thing, and that's the thing, they don't even care about their own personal safety, like they're driving around in cars like that. It's all right, they'll have a crash and they get broke up. And then as we know, what will happen is the parents will be on the news looking for sympathy about their poor lad was killed in this accident, and blah blah blah, that there was, and they'll probably blame everybody else. And we've seen that before in situations, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know why they're going out and doing those things, and it's just, I wouldn't like to be in that area with that sort of stuff going on. But as I said, there's no deterrent, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen about this, because a lot of those people that were in those cars were probably under the age of 18, so they're considered minors, and it'll just be brought back to the parents. There'll be nothing really done about it. Like, there are youth detention centers for serious offenders and stuff like that, but prisons and these places are choked up everywhere worldwide. they're heaving with people, like, and this is the thing. I think that's the reason why in some places, maybe, now that I think of it, maybe that's why they've gone soft on crime, because they just have nowhere to put these people. But yeah, crazy. Yeah, that'd be a good punishment, Dave, to be tied to a tree and then covered in honey and left for some ants or bees. They wouldn't do it again. Don't forget, yeah, that lad was trying. I was trying to become a doctor. He had a bright future ahead, and probably by the time he gets to court, he'll have turned his life around, and he'll be, on the straight and narrow, and he'll be working towards his degree, and he should be just spared a custodial sentence just because, And hello to Robert Morley, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And Stefan saying my mother would have killed me, and that's the thing. The same with myself. You wouldn't get away with that sort of thing. And I said this the last time. Anything that, like, we would have done that we would have considered, a bit out there or whatever, is nothing compared to what's going on now. It's having a few drinks underage back in the day. You felt like you were you were really badass, like, but nowadays it's that's nothing, like, it's just people don't even talk about that, like, so yeah, so it's really, that is crazy. But this is great. I like the way this has come to this sort of thing about being tougher on crime. Some of you may have seen this clip when I seen this before, but when I came across this again, I said I'll have to show it in the live stream, just in case some people haven't seen it. It's basically a sheriff calling out a gang member from his area, and basically he's had enough of this nonsense in the area with this gang member. So this sheriff's calling him out. I like this sheriff. He's so tough, and you need more of this sort of stuff. So we'll take a look at this. It's pretty badass from this sheriff.
Darren Carter, you think men like these are afraid of an uneducated 125-pound punk like you that's never won a fair fight in your life and holds your gun sideways? Young man, I'll meet you on solid ground anytime, anywhere, light or heavy. Makes no difference to me. You won't walk away. And the convicts in jail, most of those men are good people who just found themselves crossed with the law. They're not evil, and they don't respect you or any punk like you. They'll toss you around like a rag doll. And for those who would use this message as a way to create false racial division in our country, take a close look behind me. Standing next to every cop is a leader of our black community. This is not about race. It's about right versus wrong. One last message to the gremlins. You don't like the things I've told you tonight? I got one thing to say. I'm easy to find.
Well, I wouldn't like to be that gentleman that's being called out there. I like the way he finished that off with that nice mic drop line. I'm easy to find. But I just thought everyone's strapped up there. Their main business. But you know what I mean? That sends out a good message that, we're not gonna stand there. But John Bender's just saying there, vigilante justice will become a reality again. Definitely, especially with cuts to funding and policing. Especially like we looked in that clip in those sort of areas. I can see people eventually getting sick and tired of that and taking matters into their own hands, which is obviously going to end up with them in trouble. But, people get frustrated. And Kiwi Dave saying that would have been at least 4 wooden spoons being broken. Oh, definitely. A bumper wooden spoon smashing. Yeah, that sheriff was very good. See, that's the thing about that. Like, at least it called them out. But it's good to call them out for what they are, like, you know what I mean? And that does kind of take away from their clout, I suppose, for being called out by the sheriff. Like, what are they going to do about that? Like, they're not going to make a call out video of the sheriff, like, so, and especially with some of these guys, like, their day will eventually come where their luck will run out, and whether it be, from those within the life that they've chose to live, like, getting double crossed, or getting mixed up with the wrong people, or whether it comes to the police locking them up, or in some cases end up being shot if they don't comply, obviously, or they try to shoot it out with the police or anything. It never ends well. And Chuck saying we're on our way to Mad Max world. It kind of does seem like that with some of the stuff that you see going on these days. It's really crazy, like. Yeah, and Stefan saying just look people with frauditors when the cops do nothing. And I think, like, a lot of the time when the cops kind of, get frustrated with the frauditors, and like they say a couple of things to them, and then it kind of to get into this backwards and forwards. I think what happens is, like, when the cops eventually walk away, and even though, like, I don't really see it as a win for the frauders, it's more of a win for the police if they walk away, in the fact that they're not engaging with these people, and they're not going to say something, to get into that back and forward where they end up saying or doing something stupid that ends up with them filing a case. So yeah, like, but they get more emboldened by that, though. They're like, look at them doing the walk of shame. And it's just. And Robert Morley's just saying, missed you on Saturday evening. Hope you're feeling better. And I actually meant to say I didn't actually end up streaming on Saturday evening. This is kind of this will be the Saturday night stream. So you didn't miss the Saturday night stream. This is it, but it's just on Monday night instead, because by the time I got everything sorted for the stream, it was pretty late, and it would have been really short notice. I know the notice before this stream wasn't really that long, but it would have been like really kind of rushed. Plus this stream's a bit better now, because over Sunday and stuff like that, I actually found a few other clips and stuff to add to this, so I kind of I'll make it a bit of a better stream anyway. So but I'm still going to do another one at the end of this week, and it'll either be obviously Friday or Saturday. And they're saying poster 7 is a con. That's another thing where they conveniently leave out that last line, and well, that little paragraph about like having to get permission, but like there's, they don't understand that there's, like, that's a business, like, let's say in a post office, like, that's a business that's trying to run, like, and when they're going to stand in there and disrupt things, like, I think it is a disruption if the people in the queue are starting to interact with this person, and it's starting to get a bit rowdy in there, where people are starting to get annoyed. Like, that is a disturbance. Like, well, like, if that's not a disturbance, then what's a disturbance? Like, it doesn't have to be a fist fight in the floor to be a disturbance. Like, the business operating, in tranquility would be the people just queuing up, possibly chatting amongst themselves, getting called to the counter at their turn. That would be, business running as it's supposed to be. But when someone's coming in and causing, like, a disruption, like, that is a disruption, like. But yeah, and then obviously, like, I feel sorry for the staff in those places too, because the customers are giving out, so the staff give out to the frauditors, then the frauditors turn on the staff, and it's just, and then the police get called, and it's just such a waste of time for everybody involved. And I see that now, a lot of private businesses getting audited, and I really don't see the purpose of that. I understand the argument that some people make, well, that place has a contract to the government. Okay, well, we'll give you that. But at the same time, like, there's people going to these private businesses that have nothing to do with the government, and they're just standing outside to get a reaction off somebody, just to antagonize people. Don't call me mammy. There'll be wooden spoons. I'll be picking splinters out of somewhere for quite a while. And Chuck saying the USPS needs to clean up the ambiguity of poster 7 so the authorities can do their jobs. And yeah, see, that's the thing with a lot of those policies and stuff. They're really outdated. They were written, some of them probably were written back in the 90s or stuff like that. So, like, yeah, times have changed. Everybody having a phone and a camera, and with, like, this auditing business starting, and yeah, they definitely need to update it, because it can stifle the police and what they can do in certain places with certain policies. Like, I think it's a given, like, in most courtrooms, that you're definitely not going to be allowed record you know, you definitely need express permission from the judge. And like we seen in the famous P. Barnes clip, that guy was not getting into the courtroom. And you know, they won't try that, you see. And that's what they need. They need a better approach like that, especially when people's private business is being discussed. You know, you don't want that like unwanted filming of whatever you're doing in there, especially like I've seen them going into these welfare offices, you know, or like family services places, and like just people in there discussing really private personal stuff. And like I know they say, oh well, we're not trying to record that stuff, but like, you know, you could end up catching it. And I don't know, like it's just why do you even need to do those things? Like there's procedures to go through if you have a grievance, if you think a place isn't being run properly. Like what happened years ago, like when someone wanted to make a complaint about somewhere, they didn't go with a big camera like and stand in a place. Like this is only because now, like back then you'd have to develop your film and, you know, like distribute it to people. Like, but nowadays, like people can just upload it to the internet in a couple of clicks, and then, you know, everyone can see it and stuff. And it's that exactly like somebody said further up there in the comments. If I can just find it there. Yeah, it was actually Stefan said the internet has changed so many behaviors, and I think that is a key reason why all of this sort of thing has started. Like I know years ago there was like sovereign citizens and stuff like that, but there were more extremists. Now in this series that I keep banging on about that I have coming up, but it is coming, the Sovereign Files, we look at the more extreme sovereign citizens, and that's what I'm saying. There were more extremists back then. It wasn't really for clout on the internet or nothing like that, but a lot of the guys now that are doing it, it's literally just for views and stuff like that. But back then they were more extreme, you know, they were like, you know, like totally like it was like a cult, you know what I mean? Where they were like proper ruthless when it came to dealing with the police and all. And we will see that, especially in the first episode that I have planned. It's quite a shocking event that happened. And you know, you wouldn't really think about it, but I'm not talking about the sovereign citizens that we see mainly on YouTube, let's say, where they're just kind of arguing with the police about, you know, jurisdiction laws and all of this, like, and it ends up in their window being smashed and them arrested. I'm talking about these guys that are going around strapped, and that like they'll take the police on if they try to pull them over and stuff like that. These people are like basically, I suppose, for lack of a better term, you call them domestic terrorists. And we look at some of that in that series, and the reason why that's taken so long is that I'm trying to make it more I don't know how to describe it. I'm just trying to make it a bit fancier than the regular videos, so it's just taking a bit longer to get it right, I suppose. So I'm just going to go back down to catch up with the comments. Yeah, and Robert Morley saying best way to combat unwanted filming is pull out your phone and play copyright music from Pandora. It's like kryptonite to them. And see, this is the thing as well. Do you ever notice well, in Ireland a lot, and in the UK they kind of play music in supermarkets and stuff like that over a speaker system. I don't know if they do that in the United States as well, but yeah, like if they played music over some speakers in the post offices, you know, in the lobbies of the post office, even the police stations and stuff like that, you know, and you know, had it playing in the background. But even when these guys show up and they're kind of causing a nuisance, turn it up, you know, so they're definitely picking it up on the microphone. And yeah, that'd be good. Might put a stop to some of them. Dave saying, let's be honest though, their comprehension is the bit that's lacking, and I think so, and that's with a lot of laws, and that's when it comes to, I suppose, a lot of the frauditors and sovereign citizens. Some laws are kind of interpreted a certain way to suit themselves. Yeah, and like you do see that, like in terms of like if there was no internet for them to upload the videos to, there'd be no opportunity to, like, you know, show it to so many people and obviously make money off it or whatever. And like they wouldn't be out doing that. Like they'd have to do something else. it's just you know, I just think that that's you know, that's an apt description there. It's kind of most of the people that would be, I suppose, supporting that will be kind of probably more or less the same. But like I think a lot of those people would have some sort of a run in with the police in their past, and that's why they turn to that sort of activity. You know, there's I'd say if you looked into a lot of the backgrounds, you'd find that they had some sort of a scrape or a grievance with the police from the past. And even some people actually take that up. Even people like, let's say, they get convicted of something and they feel like they were wronged, and they go out and start doing that just to be a thorn in the authorities' sides. But oh, hello to David Malik for joining us. I just after seeing you in the chat there. And also Kiwi Dave saying choo 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 on this video coming up soon. It's approaching the station. It was close there, Dave, I have to say. And Dave saying, are you becoming a frauder or being media and a story that hasn't been published? Well, just, you know, don't give anyone any ideas. But yeah, I am working on a story. You know, I just it's not ready yet. But I'm working on a story. I am working on a story. But that's the thing, they're always working on a story, but the story is the reaction. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I wouldn't like to be in the same camp as the frauditors, to be quite honest. But like, see, this is the thing, like, I have no problem with people like, you know, recording in public, like when you see interesting things and stuff like that. But there's a certain, you know, there's a certain limit to it. Like, to be honest with you, like if like, let's say there's a crash on the side of the motorway, like I don't agree with people pulling over to get out and record that. And there's people hurt and injured and stuff like that. That's not good. Like, but like I understand, like if there was a fire somewhere, like a vehicle on fire somewhere, and you were walking down the road and you wanted to take a recording of it. But if the police come up and say, can you move down the road there because it's not safe, I wouldn't stand there and having a debate with them over like where to stand and all. Like, think about it with some of the cop watchers and frauditors. They get to a certain distance, the police will say, move over there. And some of them have really good camera equipment. Like they could zoom in, like, and they could literally be getting the same view, but they're in a safe location. And I love the way they think that the police are being like, you know, authoritarian by saying it, or just for the police's ego, let's say, oh, go stand over there. Like, but it is for safety at the end of the day. Like, what would the superiors of those officers say if they said to that guy, oh, well, okay, don't bother going down there, stay where you are. And then let's say this burning car exploded and that guy got hit with debris. And it turns out that if he had been, you know, 10, 20 feet down the road where he was told to go, he wouldn't have been hit. Well, then those officers are going to get in trouble for why was that guy there? Why wasn't something said? So, like, you know, they're looking out for the man's safety. They're looking out for their own job as well at the same time. So, you know, David Malik saying they can edit out the music if you don't want to be recorded. Put porn on your phone and hold it in front of your face. Actually, that would ruin the whole shot for them, and they wouldn't be able to put it up. That's actually a good tactic there. Just put something up in front of your face that would definitely get them like their video taken down or something like that. That's actually a new tactic. Chuck saying social media has made too many people comfortable with disrespecting other people and not get punched in the mouth for it. And that's the thing. Yeah, years ago you had to say something to somebody's face, but nowadays it can be done anonymously over the internet, and well, no, almost anonymously we'll say. But a lot of these people that are you know, kind of insulting people or abusing people online and all that, a lot of them are, you know, they get away with it, and even if they get their accounts banned or anything like that, they're back again with another account in a couple of days. And yeah, it's too easy. And as well, too many people, like, you know, not everybody has as thick skin, you know, as the next person. So what ends up happening is that, you know, everybody seems to put their life on social media these days. And, you know, there's stuff I see people putting up that I wouldn't be comfortable, you know, putting that sort of stuff up myself. And I often think, you know, like, when you see certain things, you're like, oh, you're just like leaving yourself open for someone to say something, and then you're going to get upset. And then people say, oh, well, I should be allowed to post what I want. And that's true, post what you want. But if you get upset then when this, it's kind of a balancing act with the whole thing. Like, but I think people kind of put too much stuff up online and too much personal stuff, and it ends up with people using that against them to, to kind of insult them and to get at them. Like, and like people can just, like Robert's saying there, you can hide behind the computer, and that's what a lot of people do now. I know what they always say is the law is always a couple of steps behind the internet. As the internet evolves and as, social media evolves, the law is always a step behind. So, you'd like to see them tighten up stuff in regards to that. And there's an awful lot of this online bullying that goes on, and you see, like, it's terrible when you see these kids and like they're taking their lives because they're being, targeted or harassed online. And the thing is, like, what's so sad about it is that, and like, older people, adults, like, if they were getting harassed online, I know some people, like, can't take it, and unfortunately they end up doing, bad things, like, or whatever. But, like, at the same time, when it comes to, like, older people, like, they can have a thicker skin and it say, well, these people are just, trying to get at me. They can see through it and they can just ignore it. But when it comes to kids and teenagers and stuff like that, they don't have the same mentality to see that, the people that are trying to drag them down, they don't really know anything about them. At the end of the day, they're only going off a couple of things to see on social media and they're slagging them off or whatever. And those people don't really know them. They don't know what they're about. And see, that's the thing, like, they get judged or whatever, and then they feel like, when they're getting harassed and all like that they have no other way out. Like, and Dave saying, why do you think most bullying happens on social media? Mainly probably because it's an anonymity factor where people can just hide behind a profile, and it's easy. There's no consequences, immediate consequences to the person that's doing it. Like, I could sit here and say bad things about everyone in the chat, and it's no consequence to me here. I'm sitting here saying it, but I don't know how people at home are feeling with what I'm saying, like, and it could be affecting somebody badly, and I could be sitting here going, oh, well, I'm only having a bit of a laugh, guys. But, like, you don't know what people are going through in the background, and I think that's what it is. It's a detachment from but if you're saying something to somebody in person, you can see the reaction to what you're saying, like. And if you're saying it to them online over something, like, you're looking at a profile picture, you can't see what that person, what sort of a day they're having, what mood they're in or anything. You could say something nasty to somebody on a really bad day, and it could tip them over the edge to do something stupid, like. So, people need to watch what they say online as much as they do in person, like. And then John Bender saying everyone filmed a man beat a woman, no one tried to help her. And you see, that's a common thing. People are quicker to whip out a phone and record what's going on the side of the road, or, in whatever situation, than actually try help. Now, there was a situation in Dublin where two drug addicts were fighting in a cafe, and one lady pulled out a knife and started stabbing the other lady. Now, there was people on Twitter saying that, oh, there's a lot of men in that restaurant or cafe there, why didn't they try help? But I understand in that situation, when someone has a weapon and they're, like, literally in the middle of stabbing another person, like, to get involved in that, you're only going to put yourself in danger 100%. Like, it's hard in those situations to get involved, but I don't condone. And this incident that I'm talking about was actually recorded on a phone, and, like, I don't agree with that. Yeah, I wouldn't condone people jumping in the middle of a knife fight, but I don't condone someone standing there and recording somebody else being stabbed. Like, that's not nice. And you see that too with some of these, like, I suppose, frauders and cop watchers. To be someone having, like, a medical problem on the side of the road, and they'll stand there recording it, or someone having like, the cops get called out to these kind of welfare calls, for people's mental health and stuff, and, like, you have these people showing up and recording when people are at their worst point in their life, like, and that's not nice. And it's all about having a bit of decency, like, if these guys were interested in going out and recording stuff, like, on the streets, like, public photography to make decent videos about, you know, something informative, something that people could learn from or whatever, you wouldn't so much mind as long as they were being polite and that the police were cooperating with the police and stuff like that. But I don't agree with this going and I don't agree with the whole auditing thing about going in and trying to, you know, get accountability from the government by recording in a post office or something. I don't agree with that. But what I'm saying is that I don't mind a guy like, you know, recording on the main street of his town if he's going to make a little video about his town or something, or, you know, whatever. That's all cool, like, because most of those people that are doing that would be polite. If someone said, "What are you doing?" "I'm recording a video about town," to tell them, "No problem." Police pulled up, said, "What are you doing?" And they talk, because the people they're not out looking for a confrontation. They're not out looking to antagonize anyone. So, like, that's what I think, that, you know, for public photographers, people that are legitimately documentary makers and all, those sort of people are going to get a bad name because of what frauditors do, because they show up at the post office in their town. Let's say that genuinely the post office building had some history, or some dude's granddad worked on building it and he wanted to record it to make a little video about his family or something. Like, he might show up and be recording outside, and then because there was a frauditor there last week being ignorant to everyone, to think, "Oh, there's more of these guys." So, you know, it ruins it for legitimate people when they're just doing that, and it's all for the sake of getting a reaction, you know. Hello to Night Fairy. Sorry, I just saying in the chat there, I was on a bit of a rant there. And KB Dev saying kids shouldn't be allowed to have social media. And I think it's shocking that kids as young as 13 are allowed to be on things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Like, I think it should be older than that, to be quite honest. That's far too young, even like with parental supervision. Kids are a lot more tech savvy now, I think, than people like to let on. And they can get around stuff. Like, there's kids out there that know about VPNs and stuff like that, you know. And I didn't, when I was a teenager, I knew nothing about that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's crazy. Like, kids can circumvent all these parental controls now. It was very easy. Yeah, a thing I seen there with just in relation to TikTok, apparently, when you click a link inside TikTok, the app itself on iOS anyway, it'll bring you to the website, but it'll be inside TikTok's own browser within the app. And apparently it's like having a keylogger, where it'll be sending information back to TikTok about what website you're visiting, what you're typing, what you're searching, what links you're clicking, what you're looking at, all of that stuff, right? And obviously, if kids are on that app, which kids as young as 13 are allowed to be on that according to their terms of service, then that information is being sent back on kids, but it's also being sent back on other people that are clicking links within the app. And it's also logging financial information, all of that sort of stuff. And like, I think that's connected back to the Chinese government as well, with the company that owns that. I think they're called Tencent or something like that. And they're somehow, I think they're either obviously most stuff in China is somehow controlled by the government, but yeah, like that data's all going back there, and what it's being used for, nobody knows, to be quite honest, and we probably won't find out. Yeah, but it is crazy, like, and an awful lot of young kids on social media, and it's not a good, it's, you know, a disaster waiting to happen. Chuck saying there, I taught my boys to fight when they had to and be quiet when they needed to be, and to have common sense and choose the right one. And I guarantee you, Chuck, they don't get into trouble, because, you know, that's common sense. You know, you know when to stand up for yourself, and you know when something's being done wrong. Like, you know, if the police are giving you I think in a lot of these situations, you know, if you think you're being wronged by the police in the situation, there's no point of resisting arrest. There's no point of fighting with the police, making it worse on yourself. Go, like, if they're arresting you and you think it's a illegal arrest or whatever, like, you know, let them arrest you and then go seek legal advice about it. Don't try resist on the road. It's only going to end bad for yourself. And that's what I'm saying, you know, pick your battles, like, and, you know, it is, have common sense, you know, and that's good advice, like. And then at night fair, that's actually a good point. You could pick up a chair and whack her. And actually, now that I think of it, people were saying that in the comments. Somebody could have just picked up a chair and even threw it at her. They wouldn't have had to approach, I suppose, to kind of maybe they would even made her drop the knife. That's actually a good thing. I suppose hindsight's a good thing there that we can kind of look back, but um, I don't know how that lady did after, like, but obviously that was I reckon it was a dispute over drugs or something like that. But obviously things like drugs and stuff like that, it's never worth losing your life over or being seriously injured. Yeah, and and I think so. Even shooting in the air would deter a lot of people, especially if someone was coming to mug you or something like that. They wouldn't be expecting it, But yeah, it's gone crazy. It is. I think things are getting more dangerous, especially with the way things are going. And then Night Fairy saying there, in the USA, she could have been shot. We're having more people carrying firearms to defend themselves or others, and that's the thing. But the thing in the US, there has been a couple of cases there where, wasn't there one in at a church there where the guy, he some gunman came in and he was he was storming a church, and it was just that some of the people in the congregation were actually armed carrying, and they were able to stop him before he actually took a load of people out, which was it's kind of good. John Bender's just saying gotta hit the road. Take care, John, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope you have a good day. And Dave saying if all else fails, a taser is a great tool. Taser is a great tool, the non-lethal option. But yeah, and that's the thing. I think as well here in Ireland, if the guards aren't armed, they have like pepper spray, and I know the armed guards have tasers and stuff, but if more of the Gardaí had tasers, it might be a good thing, because it is getting more dangerous, especially in the situation like we seen with those clips. A lot of people congregating in the area and stuff, and it could turn nasty. Kiwi Dave saying, a cop once told me if someone was threatening you, shoot them first, then fire a second shot somewhere the cops can find the bullet. They have no idea which was fired first. Oh yeah, that's actually true. You could say you fired one in the air, and to warn them off, and then if you were really, because there are some situations, especially if a guy was coming at you with a weapon like a knife or something like that. I've seen plenty of situations, where a guy's been running at the police and they've had to shoot a guy, and like when you see like secondary footage from another body cam or from a dash cam, like some of these guys are nearly just about within arm's reach. I think there's a certain limit the cops will let you come to, like before they'll stop warning you to get back or to stop or drop the knife, and then they will shoot for safety reasons. And the Kiwi Dave saying when you were a kid, the internet wasn't even invented, was it? When I was a kid, I remember the first computer we ever had, like we had no internet connection or nothing like that, but like we were fascinated with this computer because we never had a computer before, and it was definitely something like Windows 95 or something like that. But like this was years after 95, like that we had this. And I used to find amusement on it, making greeting cards on it. That used to be like the height of entertainment on it. There was games like, like the gripping thriller Minesweeper and Solitaire and stuff like that on it. But my real passion was making the greeting cards on it. Yeah, that was we've come a long way since then. I don't even think on my computer now there is any games, preloaded onto it like cards or anything. There probably is. I've never played them, but yeah, it's yeah, that was the thing back then. And I actually remember in the library when we used to go to the library to access the internet, because like this was before like everyone had it in their houses and all that, like, and when you used to want to save your stuff at the library, like you used to be able to buy a floppy disk off the person at the desk, and you used to save your stuff on it, and you could leave it in the library, and like you could get your floppy disk the next time you were in there, like. And I don't know what you'd even be saving off the internet back then. Like in a like you think about a floppy disk, it's probably a few megabytes or something like that. But it's crazy the size of what a floppy disk was, and like considering the size of like SD cards and all now and what you can fit on them. It's unreal, like. But yeah, we've come a long way. It makes me feel old, though. It does, definitely. Especially because I'm not down with any of the lingo that goes on now. I hear some things sometimes. It's like with my parents, when I'd say stuff when I was a teenager, to be like, what does that mean? Or what are you talking about? Like, you know, and like now it's kind of like that. You hear people saying stuff and you're like, what are you talking about? I don't understand it. But yeah. Yeah, KB Dave saying fighting with cops on the side of the road doesn't help anyone. It only makes things worse. And that's it. Like, especially arguing over something when you're getting a ticket, you've been speeding. Like, if you want to contest it in court with the judge. Just, you know, the officer's already made up his mind. Like, you know, if he's going to give you any discretion or leniency, he would have done it already. So, Chuck saying there, you were talking about TikTok. No one has ever figured out how close to Pandora's box. What do you mean, Chuck? I'm lost on that one there. And that's the thing. Robert saying there, he could reconsider when you get to court. That's the thing as well. Like arguing on the side of the road's definitely not going to gain you any favors off the officer, especially being rude to them or whatever. Like, so like the best thing to do is to just try be as polite as you possibly can. And like, you know, if you're going to argue in court, or like, you know, go and get legal advice about it, and then at least you know, solicitor or attorney or whatever will be able to tell you, like, if you have any sort of recourse or whatever. But you know, like, I do find people like in situations when, like, I seen one in, I think it was like London or somewhere like that in England, where like if you get parking fines and stuff like that, and you're like you feel that it was wrong or whatever, you can actually go into like a meeting with someone in the council and discuss it. And if they think that, oh yeah, okay, you know, you're right, like, you know, maybe it was wrong, or, you know, you have a good reason, they might, like, you know, quash the fine and you won't have to pay it. Like, but that's for being polite. There's no point of being abusive towards people. It's not gonna get you anywhere. So I'm going to throw on another clip there. Let's see what, I'm just trying to figure out what clip we'll take a look at next. I have one here that's kind of, this is just, this one's a bit sad, I suppose, like, but it's kind of to do, because with that other clip that we watched there a few minutes ago, it was with that kid that the guy had there. This is another one involving a small kid, and this is a bit of a tragic one. But at the same time, it just goes to show you, like, how crazy things are becoming. This was only recently this happened, and I really hope there's justice done in this case. But we'll take a look at that, and I'll be back with you guys.
Police say it all started here in this parking lot in southwest Houston, where they say a man killed a father and then stole his SUV. It was hours later when detectives learned the victim's 2-year-old son was in the back seat.
We are asking for your help.
Police take a close look. Police are searching for this man, seen inside a convenience store wearing a white T-shirt, black shorts, and black shoes.
He was wearing a very distinctive black Raiders cap. He appeared to have facial hair.
Police say that man shot and killed a 38-year-old father during an argument on Chimney Rock and El Camino del Rey at about 1:45 yesterday afternoon. They say he then took off in the victim's black SUV. Police say nearly 5 hours later, a woman reported her husband and 2-year-old son missing.
We realized very quickly that the complainant that was murdered at 5500 El Camino del Rey and Chimney Rock from the original scene was her husband. We never knew about the child until she called at 6:36.
About 30 minutes later, they found the stolen SUV abandoned, locked and with the windows up on Elm Street in Renwick, a mile from the murder scene. Police say it was too late. The 2-year-old boy was unresponsive in the back seat.
The child had passed in the car. At this time, we don't know why or how or what the cause of death will be. It could be something as like heat exhaustion. We just don't know.
So a very tragic case there, and obviously we don't know what that argument was about. They said that they don't know if the two guys actually knew each other beforehand and it was some sort of altercation over something else, or whether it was just an argument that they got into, you know, in the heat of the moment there. But tragic there, the man has lost his life, and also that little boy as well, and it'll obviously be tragic for the child's mother as well, having lost both their partner, father of their kid and their kid, like, so just stuff like that is absolutely crazy. I'm hoping, I know it's bad, like, but I'm hoping that the poor kid wasn't, like, you know, anything done to him, beaten up or anything like that, that, you know, that's looking like, by the sounds of it, that it was probably something from heat exhaustion or something like that. But yeah, stuff like that. And I hate sharing clips like that, to be quite honest, but I kind of, you know, I like the show as well at the same time, that, you know, how bad things can be at times with stuff like that. And, you know, that's why as well at times in these streams as well, I try to have a mix of different clips where it's not all totally doom and gloom as such. You know, there's kind of some humor in it as well, but, you know, I suppose you can't hide from the fact that, you know, there's a lot of bad people out there, and, you know, that guy, if he had any morals, like, he obviously doesn't after murdering that man, but at the same time, like, if he had known that kid was in the car, he should have, like at least, like, the best you could do is to, like, leave the kid, just drop the kid off where there's people, and then go, you know what I mean? Because then at least the kid would be safe. But, you know, that as I was saying a couple of weeks ago, that happened in Dublin, where somebody stole a car and there was a kid in the back of it, and they actually stopped the car and left the child on the side of the road, which is obviously bad, but at the same time, at least the child wasn't left in the car, and it was the child obviously got back reunited with its parents, and the child was grand in the end. But, you know, it's terrible when stuff like that happens. It's really bad when it involves, like, children and stuff like that, especially like those neglect cases and all that you do see. We covered one here before on the channel, and, you know, it's sad when you see that. And, you know, the way things are going now with people with, like, money, I can see more stuff like that, you know, more kids going hungry and, you know, without proper clothing and stuff like that. But, you know, it's sad. And like Ferry saying there, that poor family makes me furious. If we had no tolerance rules like we did back then, there'd be no prison for him. More severe consequences we might have less of this sad story. And that's true. And who knows now, Ferry, we don't have a lot of details on that story, but at the same time, that guy there, he could have had a lot of previous convictions. You never know. He's obviously a very unsavory character, but yeah, probably, you know, got slaps on the wrist before, and it's, you know, he's going around, you know, with impunity as such. And, you know, when it comes to getting into it, and I don't know why people have got to that. I remember, like, years ago, people had a disagreement. They might have an argument. It might result in it, you know, a few fists being thrown. But nowadays, people are, the first thing to do is a weapon's pulled out. Immediately, a weapon's pulled out. Nobody wants to talk anymore. It's all about, you know, doing damage to somebody. Like, Chuck's just saying there, Pandora's box is what I was asking about a minute ago. In Pandora's box is Greek mythology. The box contained all of the evils in the world. Once it was opened, there was no closing it or getting the evil back in the box. And yeah, that's a good, actually, description of TikTok, I suppose. Considering where all that data is going, and also because of, you know, there's so many stories that we've seen about TikTok, you know, in the news and all, about, like, you know, young people being on it and stuff like that. Yeah, it could be, and maybe social media is that sort of a Pandora's box that's been opened, And because there's so much more degeneracy because of the internet. You know, if it wasn't for the internet there to share everything so easily and for everyone to see it and react to it and for clout purposes and stuff like that, yeah, social media has been it's a gift and a curse, because you know, it has brought people close together. People have, you know, there's been some good positive stories to do with social media, but then again, there is that negative side where, you know, there's bullying, harassment, you know, crime going on, you know, loads of stuff. You know, it's definitely, I think, yeah, it could be some sort of a Pandora's box has been opened there. All right. That's interesting, and that's a good point as well. Chuck's also saying there that I had a human studies professor tell me that anything that you can imagine can be done to a child has already been done, and that's true. These days now, nothing kind of would surprise you anymore. You know, and I think that's with a lot of things why a lot of these people, when they get involved in like these things we were looking at with the car rammings and all there, people are getting involved in that. Like, you know, they're kind of desensitized. They're seeing it all online anyway. And they kind of get desensitized to it, so it becomes, you know, more commonplace. Yeah, so it's not really there's nothing really left to the imagination anymore. And then Dave saying even YouTube, it used to be maybe 6 videos away from getting weird shit. Now it's 3 if you're lucky. Yeah, see, that's the thing. You don't know what's going to pop up these days. It's crazy. Like every time when we when you go on like social media, no matter what it is, whether it's like especially Twitter, if anybody's on Twitter, a lot of people stay away from Twitter, but you know, there's not far away from negativity and, you know, madness or whatever. And every time you turn on the news as well, like there's always a news story of something outrageous, but it's like Chuck was saying, like there's nothing really as surprising anymore. You know, but that's the thing. It's just society is just getting more degenerate, I reckon. So what I'll do now is because I wanted it, we'll kind of make it we'll kind of lighten things up a little bit, because most of the stuff actually that I have left to show is more lighthearted, and kind of a bit funny. So yeah, I have a few clips as well from Ireland here. So here's what we do. We look at this clip first. I always like to have something that involves pursuit. I have a kind of a motorbike chase as well at the end, and that's the one that I was talking about earlier on, where there's the police seem to be, you know, no nonsense. But this one here is a different kind of pursuit. It's kind of like that one we watched the other day with the baggage tractor, where it was a very low speed pursuit. So let's take a look at this one.
Maybe the slowest ever. Fort Worth police followed the white Nissan for more than 2 hours. The suspect in no hurry to escape. Crowds of gawkers gathered on overpasses to snap photos of the slow ride. At one point, the suspect took off his shirt, talked on his cell phone. One witness in traffic told ABC affiliate WFAA the guy was, quote, waving at us like he had a parade or something. Police shut down highway exits and entrances, causing rush hour traffic snarls. But just when you think he's finally going to stop, he resumes his slow crawl over and over again. I know you're wondering, why didn't police just pull in front of the car? Well, it's simple. According to policy there, officers are not allowed to pass and block a vehicle during a chase. Instead, officers resorted to loudspeakers and sirens. They even put out spike sticks. No dice. Hours passed. Finally, the suspect made his move. He hit the gas, leaving the interstate, zooming across a grass median, and went the wrong way down an access road to get back on the interstate. Then, enough is enough. A police SWAT car performed a pit maneuver and rammed the back of the suspect's car, causing it to slam into a concrete median. SWAT officers swarmed the suspect. We're told a considerable amount of methamphetamines was found in the car. So there you have it. A guy who drives his getaway car in the slow lane busted for a drug known as speed.
He had plenty of speed there, but none of it at the other end of the accelerator. But yeah, you kind of wonder. Usually, people in that situation would be trying to get away straight away. But this lad, I don't know what his game plan was really, but luckily they arrested him and kind of got that stuff off the streets before it started doing some damage. Obviously, that guy was probably just a mule. A lot of them are like, so he's probably just being paid in drugs and probably not with it at all there. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, very bad. And luckily that stuff was taken off the streets anyway, because that's really that's like, you know, some of the other hard stuff. It really destroys people's lives and the communities that it goes into. And Kiwi Davison, let's point and laugh at the funny Irish drunks. There's actually included in those Irish clips that I have coming up. There is at least one drunk. Definitely, it's a good one. And then Kiwi Davison, I wonder if it was an electric car and almost out of battery. That's actually a good thing. These guys, these criminals, probably wouldn't be trusted to actually charge their cars up fully. You know, or maybe if they hijack or carjack, sorry, an electric car and it's low on charge, they'll run out of juice fairly soon. Yeah, and Dave Malik saying there they need to change that policy of not pulling in front and stopping, especially when he's going that slow. I think so too. If they had like a big truck, you know, like one of the SUVs, and they pull that kind of across, or even to try box him in. A couple of cars, because he's going that slow. Like if the police are talking on the radios, they could easily, you know, have a couple of units come up behind and just box him in. Like you see that on the UK, on some of the UK shows, when they're stopping cars on the motorway, they'll get three or four police vehicles and then they'll pin the car in somewhere, so they can't escape. And that in that situation would have brought that to an end like much sooner. Because as we seen, that guy was going to start speeding off. Pardon the pun there. Sorry, I'm all the time dropping puns. Chuck saying met kills slower, and that's the thing. You know, these people don't realize that it's the same with like some of the other drugs as well. Like they kill you very slowly. Like, you know, you're kind of you're stuck in that cycle. Like, and you know, bit by bit, you even see some of those guys that like inject themselves and all that. You see them to have like sores, you know, all those sores on their legs and their arms and stuff. And like when they're that, like, you know, out of their heads, they're actually like picking them and all. And it's disgusting. But, you know, that leads to like infections and sepsis, and, you know, people die that way. So it's not, you know, it'd be interesting to know how many people actually die from ill health that's not like an overdose or whatever. That's actually just from like, you know, these secondary effects, you know, from taking it. Like, but yeah, especially a lot of these people that like these addicts that have those sores and all, they're like living on the streets, so they're not in sanitary conditions at all. They're not being seen to, like, and yeah, and that's what's happening. Like, yeah, so that's pretty sad. Like, but you know, at least that those drugs there in that situation were taken off the streets. And that's the thing. Like I say with a lot of things that with policing being so stretched, you know, that's why you're seeing in some areas, you know, because the policing stretched, the drugs are becoming more prevalent and people are going around out of their heads on drugs and they don't care. And maybe that's another reason why people are becoming so much more brazen, you know. But yeah. And Kiwi Dave said that's the way the dragon gets out, didn't you know? That's true. They're constantly chasing the dragon. And looks like Chuck's heading off there. Thanks very much for joining us, Chuck. I hope you have a good evening as well. And I hope you have a fantastic day tomorrow. And I'll see you soon. But yeah, like people are just becoming people are just becoming more brazen. Yeah, it's just crazy. But just when we're talking about the subject of drugs and all, there's an ad that we had here in Ireland on the TV for when the Garda got these drug testing devices for people that were driving. They had a couple of ads run on the TV about, to raise awareness about it. And the organisation here in Ireland that kind of oversees all that would be the Road Safety Authority, and they just call it the RSA for short. And we're going to look at, I just thought this was funny. It's a quite bizarre ad that they came up with, but it's basically to raise awareness about this drug testing that's going on. But I just think the ad's funny. I obviously don't think that that the message they're trying to get across funny, but I just think the ad it's quite bizarre. I don't know who thought of the idea, but I just decided to show you guys this. So I suppose this will bring us nicely into our Irish section here. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. So this is so as I said, this is a clip to do with drug driving in Ireland, and it's by the Road Safety Authority.
Requiring you under Section 10 of the Road Traffic Act, the mandatory intoxicant testing checkpoint. For me, a specimen of oral fluid.
We haven't taken anything. Liar.
Fluid from your mouth. I will then use this apparatus which is designed to test for the presence of drugs.
Liar. Liar. You know you smoked a joint before you left the house. You're a real liar.
The Gardaí can test you for drugs. You can lie, but your mouth can't.
Yeah, I just thought that was a quite bizarre ad there. And I just thought it was funny, like the way that they thought of that. It's quite creepy though, when you think about it. Is that like what your inner voice is? Your what's that again? I can't remember what that's actually called. Uvula. Is that's what that part of the body's called? Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a clever line at the end of it as well. Dave saying taking drugs would make that ad better. Yeah, I think so. But that's the thing, like and then the guys in the car there, that are shouting at the guy, whatever, like, they're really helping this situation, aren't they? But yeah, a lot of the ads that, like, there's another ad as well that is to do with that drug testing, and that's a similar one where the guys in the car are kind of shouting at the guy. Yeah, see, like, that's what I'm saying. I just thought it was a kind of a creepy ad to think that, your own body snitching on you there. But yeah, they have those kind of devices that to just test your saliva. And I just thought that was a clever line at the end, the way to say, like, yeah, you can lie, but your mouth can't. But technically the lie is coming out of your mouth, but okay, like, we'll give them that. You could get rich on the talking uvula. That's the thing. I like when I first seen it, I was like, is that tonsils? I was like, is that it's tonsils, But yeah, no, that's it's crazy there. But yeah, and I think at some points they actually are catching more people drug driving now than drink driving at times. And obviously, I suppose it's easier to detect in the form that a lot of those drugs stay in your system for longer. So, but still a lot of drink driving going on, and unfortunately, people don't seem to get the message. But I see, like, there's a lot of countries that are trying to go for this sort of a zero road death sort of target. Now that's going to be a sort of a pretty hard target to meet, because here at the moment it's been quite alarming. Road deaths had been falling for a number of years, and now they've started going up again. I don't know why that is as such, but it's a worrying trend anyway. But yeah, I just thought that ad was a bit funny, and it kind of brings us nicely into our a little section of Irish clips. I had actually, I don't know if you guys remember, I had been looking at, we've been talking about Father Ted here as well the other night, and when Roisin was in the chat, I don't see Roisin here tonight, but when Roisin was here the other night, we were talking about an episode of Father Ted. I actually have a little clip out of that. Now, I had to cut the clip down. You'll know what I mean when I play it. I had to make it smaller because I don't know what the story with copyright is with it and all. Don't know what way it kind of works with the live stream. So what I'll do is I'll kind of play that towards the end of the video or the end of the stream, just in case, like, I don't know what way, like, the system works, whether it's like running when the stream's going or something like that. I don't know if it flags something up. I don't mind if after the stream it flags something up and I just take it down or whatever. But just in case it does, I wouldn't like it to somehow cut the stream. But I have a little compilation of some Garda interactions that I'm going to play now from here in Ireland. And we'll just take a look at those. And I see... I'm just giving a check on the comments there. Yeah, it's yeah, in your hair for 3 months. Yeah, I see that, but you can test the hair follicles and it says it stays in the hair for an awful long time. And I think the saliva, it depends on how much usage you do, like, you know, how long it stays in your saliva for as well, like. But yeah, but stuff like that, and I do think in terms of like with cannabis use, I do think that is a low hanging fruit that they go for, because it's like people could have smoked something a couple of days ago and it may still show up in their system, and they may be, you know, not under the influence, and you know, they could be losing their license or whatever. Like, let's say, for example, you were in the States on a holiday and you had been in a state where it was legal, and then you came back to Ireland, you got in your car at the airport. Now you had smoked it, let's say, you know, 3 days ago when you were in California, and now you're in Dublin at the airport and there's a checkpoint on the way out and you get tested and you fail, like, and then you lose your license, like. So it is kind of an easy target for that, like. It's you know, it kind of, there's a lot of controversy over that with people that have, you know, smoked, and but then again, at the same time, like, I don't agree with people being, you know, out of their brains going around the place driving cars either. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, I don't know if they'll ever develop a system where they can, you know, the requirement in the law here when they brought those machines in, the Garda used to have to prove impairment. Now they don't. Now once it's just in your system, that's enough. Impairment doesn't have to be proved, and that's what a lot of people have a contention with, the fact that they don't have to prove impairment. Just going back through the comments there. Rob saying, I own a self-driving Tesla, by the way. How do you find the Teslas? I was actually there's a guy I watch, he's a driving instructor in the UK. Ashley Neal is the channel. If anybody's interested in that, go check it out. He does have some good driving tips and some good clips and compilations that he kind of breaks down that people send him in. And he was he got a Tesla there a while ago and he done a couple of trips in it. Now he's fairly impressed with his. The only thing he finds that in the UK, I don't know what the infrastructure is like in the US, but probably better, I'd presume. But in the UK, he's saying it can be hard when you have to find a Tesla charger, because sometimes they're already occupied, and he was having trouble with this app that he had to tell him. So like there was pros and cons to it, like, but I obviously see, like, it should improve in time. But he was just saying from his experience, he was having a trouble with charging out on the road. But I presume in the States, the infrastructure is probably better, especially for like Tesla chargers. Something I find cool about the Teslas is that the Tesla, they can do that the way you can have it park itself, or it can come to you out of the parking space. That's handy if some you know, inconsiderate person happens to park too close to you or something like that. It'd be it's a good one. Yeah, Dave Malik saying sorry, but just wouldn't be able to let the car drive. I'd be very apprehensive myself if I was to just let the car drive. But I I suppose kind of if you were in, yeah, I suppose you kind of get used to it after a while. It'll be very surreal at the start anyway, because it'll be very odd. Like, it's kind of like when you're sitting in the passenger seat and someone else is driving and you think they're not going to stop or something. You'd be kind of, kind of armchair driving. That's pretty good. 400 miles for a total of $3. That is really cheap compared to the price of like a fuel at the moment. So yeah, that's not bad. And as well, like with vehicles like that, if you're going to be using it, like 400 miles, that's decent range there. So like if you're going to be like, I mean, it's a decent range for $3. Like, so like if you're only going to be using it like for getting to work in your local area or whatever like that and stuff, or you don't really travel far. Like, I can see that suiting some people like that way. Robert saying, I don't trust it 100%, but I've driven to Vegas twice in 2 years. It's very relaxing. Yeah, I can imagine it would be like, in terms of, especially if you're like on an open road and stuff like that. Yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool, that summon command. And I've seen something too. Can you program the seat to be like a whoopee cushion, like where it can make noises when someone sits on it? I seen there's like little like quirky things like that with it. And one thing I do like about the Teslas is the fact that they have all those cameras. That's pretty good, especially when it comes to like if there's an incident or anything. I like the fact that, especially when it comes to like your car being parked somewhere in a car park and someone backing into it or hitting your car and then driving away. It's very handy in those situations. I think more cars should come standard with like dash cameras and stuff like that. It's probably going to be the way forward, I'd say. And Dave Malik saying there that gas went from $3.89 to $4.19 a gallon overnight. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big increase, especially overnight. And that's the thing. It's getting a bit worse here. With the prices, but I see there's even people now starting to shop around when it comes to getting their fuel as well now, with different service stations and stuff. Robertson, he has the Model S, most powerful vehicle I've ever driven, 778 horsepower and 0 to 2.3 seconds. That is pretty impressive, and that's good. And as well, like I'd say the acceleration is so good, because obviously with the petrol engine, I think I think they were saying that about with electric, because it's more responsive to accelerate or something like that. You can pick which seat is Martin. Yeah, I just think that's kind of a quirky thing. It's funny, like, and the camera thing, that's really a big point, especially if you're spending so much money on a vehicle like that. The ways there are some people out there that don't really care, and they just start they would back into you, or they would hit your car or scrape your car and they drive off. We've seen that plenty of times. Yeah, and see that's the thing, Robert. A lot of people are kind of weighing that up now with in terms of the price of electricity. Like, if we don't look at like the whole environmental side, if we just look at, let's say, the cost, because there's like a lot of arguments I was talking about them before about stuff with like the production of the power to charge the cars and stuff like that. But if we're looking at, like, let's say, in terms of the cost to get a certain amount of mileage for $1 value or whatever, like you were saying, $3 for about 400 miles, definitely much cheaper than like what you'd be paying at the pump to fill up a petrol or gas car or whatever. Keep Davis at home, you always haven't said to the mother-in-law seat. Yeah, that's the thing when I'm saying there, Robert. If it's if you're paying a lot of money for a car like that, and you're obviously going to want to keep it for a couple of years or whatever, yeah, definitely you want to make sure that it's protected. And what better way than with a camera system? And a lot of people, like, when that becomes like, that's knowledge out there. Like, I don't obviously own a Tesla or not, but I am aware that they have those cameras. So, like, you know, if I was to hit a Tesla, like, I'd know that, like, you know, they have the footage of that. Like, some, like, people will start becoming wise to that. And if you hit a Tesla, you know, you're probably not going to get away with it. So, you know, more cars should be coming out with that, because a lot of cars now have reverse cameras and stuff like that. So yeah, that's good. And I like the way that on the Tesla it has multiple angles. You know. So anyway, I'm going to throw up this. I'm going to throw up these clips, Garda clips that I have here, and let's take a look at these ones.
My children's toy for Christmas. Get away from me car. Give me children's toy for Christmas. Give my children's toy for Christmas, okay? Give my children's toy for Christmas. Look out, I have your record there. See your face. See your face there. Take me kids' toys for Christmas. Give me kids' toys. There's something wrong with the car, okay? There's a bad number. I'll break your fingers at the ground. That's what I'll do to them. I'll break them. But back to, give me. I'll break it. Give my children's toys. Give my children's toys. Put my toys back in.
Sorry.
Give my children's toys.
You're gonna break my fingers.
Let go of my hand. Let go of my hand. Let go. You can move. Don't put them on me with pepper spray. They're my children's toys. Or take my children's toys.
You get back.
I have stuff here. I'll get the receipt for you in 1 minute. Look at that. Oh, you'll tell you you're some guy. Oh, you're some guy, aren't you?
As I said,
where you
bring up a receipt.
Where you bringing them? Where you bringing them? Right. With your country facing you. That's what you have. With your country facing you.
Yeah, what county is the best county in the whole of Ireland?
Oh, it's Dublin, obviously.
No, Kildare. Kildare is the best county.
Don't be saying things like that.
No, you're making me scared now, because I might get it.
You're telling lies. You're telling lies. Look, you'll be given a direction now out of here to stop telling lies. Alright?
Behave. You're being recorded. You're being recorded.
Behind your back.
Give me a shoe, give me a shoe.
Get this assumption, lads.
Instagram. Give me a shoe, give me a spoon.
Go on, arm police. Arm Garda. Ah, come on, man. Come on. Too old. Ah, man. Hey, miss. Give that an old shot there.
Who's all the dinner's gone? Your mother fed you, yeah?
You're so strong.
So there was a little selection. I have another little clip that feeds in with that last red clip there, but yeah, there was a few clips. Yeah, with in Knife Ferry there in regards to the toys, I reckon what probably may have happened there is there may have been some sort of accusation of a theft or something, and maybe the guards have pulled them over, you know, leaving, and they was asked to see a receipt. Now he said, I'm going to get you a receipt, and then went into the back of his car. Now, if that had been in the United States and he had been going back into the vehicle after being so irate, he wouldn't have got very far. But I didn't see any receipt forthcoming. But yeah, that thing happens sometimes as well, where, you know, the stuff gets stolen and then like they have to go and recover it like that. But luckily the property got returned. When I used to work in a store, it happened a few times. It was a clothing store. To be quite honest, I wouldn't say we got robbed frequently, but we used to get robbed a bit, you know, certain times of the year, coming up to Christmas, maybe in the summer as well, when there was more touristy people in the town. You kind of used to get that stuff being stolen, but sometimes we used to get the stuff back, but sometimes, you know, the stuff used to just disappear. But you know, obviously, like, it's never worked. You'd never go after these people or nothing like that. It's even our store told us that, you know, it's clothing at the end of the day. Like, but yeah, it's kind of you could see stuff like that. Then in that other clip where that guy was the guy was getting arrested, he was urinating on the squad car, and then he got dealt with there. He got arrested anyway, and obviously, like, he would have got done with I suppose public urination there, or some sort of disorderly conduct. But I just thought it was funny the way when he was getting up off the ground, he was like, "Get this on Snapchat, lads." You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be saying that in the morning, like. But yeah, and then the last clip of that failed raid, I guarantee you, whatever contraband was in the house was probably flushed down the toilet. That guy was probably down the pub having a pint by the time the Garda got into the house. But we've come a long way since then. We have come a long way since then, and I'm going to show you that raid happened a while ago. But I have a better raid clip here, and they're a lot more aggressive now than back then. So let's take a look at this. So as you can see, they've went from the softy tap on the door approach to pulling the windows clean out with a winch on the front of an SUV. So that was, I think, is just to I think that was just to kind of startle the people in the house. But especially if it's a dangerous place, like those guards there are armed guards, so like that's obviously it could be something to do with drugs or gangs or something like that. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely a bit more extreme in those situations. I've seen that a few times where they've been like fairly aggressive. And what I will do is I'm actually going to make a video on some of those, because there's a lot of clips around from raids in Dublin and stuff that people film from the road and stuff. I actually have a good one from down in Limerick, where they're actually like they break into a house. There's a lot of people out in the street, kind of, you know, and there's a few funny comments and all in it that people make that are out there. But yeah, yeah, we'll make a video on that sometime. Robert saying that he sent me a picture on Instagram of his cars there. I will check that out now in a couple of minutes there, Robert. And Night Fairy saying I'm waiting for the cops from Chips to show up. Yeah, that was a great show. I think I have 2 box sets of Chips there. I actually don't know like if it's the complete set of all the episodes or what, but there's a good few episodes across like 2 box sets that I have there. I like that. It's a good show, like, you know, from back in the day. Eric Estrada, and I never can remember the other guy's name that plays the other guy, because Punch is like the main guy or whatever, like. But yeah, it's great. There's a great show and all, and actually now that you've mentioned it, I must definitely watch an episode of it again soon. Kind of brought back a bit of nostalgia there. But yeah, they don't make shows like that anymore. Yeah, Dave saying, was the door not able to be opened? I don't know if that was the thing. It could have been like they might have been aware that there might have been like firearms in the house, maybe, or something. Who knows? But I think it was kind of more of a startling tactic as well. Like, and like maybe once the window was pulled out, they would enter through the door at the same time as well. So I don't know. Dave said, "Oh my God, Degenerate watch is old." I feel old. But the thing is, I do like a lot of like kind of older stuff as well, even stuff that was before my time. I like stuff. There's stuff from the 80s and stuff like that that I like. Um, like it's I don't know. Yeah, I kind of a sucker for some of the old stuff. Um, yeah, but I think Dave's just saying about the 70s. I think there was a lot of cringe in the 70s. I think what was the people were saying? What was that thing they used to say about if you can remember? What was it? If you can remember the 60s, then you weren't alive or something, and you want to forget the 70s, or is it the 80s with the fashion or something? I remember saying something like that. But Larry Wilcox there, Dave and Eric are saying there. John Baker, yeah, as well. I couldn't think of it. John and Punch. Yeah, Eric Estrada, Larry Wilson, and or Larry Wilcox. Yeah, that was a great show. Like, yeah, and do you know what's another show I used to like? I used to just binge watch it on YouTube because YouTube's good for some of the old shows. A lot of the new shows now kind of get taken down off it or whatever, but a lot of the old shows manage to hang on. Sanford and Son is another show I used to love watching. I used to just think that was funny with Red Fox, and yeah, no, it was just that was another funny show. Yeah, 80s was great for TV shows. All those 80s, 90s had some great TV shows. But the fashion is cringeworthy. But I see a lot of that 90s fashion is starting to creep back in again with a lot of those old sort of trousers, tracksuit trousers and runners and stuff like that. Yeah, 80s. There's a lot of good music in the 80s as well, and even like when you think about it, like I'd like loads of different styles of music. I suppose, kind of as people say. I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but a kind of a bit of everything. But I kind of think as you do get older, you do start diversifying what music you're kind of into. Like when you're younger, like you're kind of stuck in a kind of one genre of music that you'd be into. Like I went through phases of being, into, kind of, what, like when I was younger, I kind of listened to whatever my parents were listening to because that was what was in the house, and that'd be stuff like my father kind of like the Who, obviously the Beatles and stuff like that. I'm just trying to think, the Welsh band called The Move. Just trying to think of some of these bands just off the top of my head, but some of those things that and then like the mamas and the papas and stuff like that. Like kind of all that stuff was in the house, so you'd be listening to that. But then as I got older, I kind of got into more like heavy metal music. Like I wasn't exactly going around, wearing all the apparel, like you know what I mean, or being moody or anything like that. But I was kind of got into like heavy metal music, like like some Metallica, Guns N' Roses, yes, kind of stuff like that or whatever. I kind of, off the top of my head now, some of them are eluding me, but kind of was into some stuff like that. And then kind of after that, when I was like more into my teenage years, I was kind of more into like hip hop music and kind of more electronic music and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I kind of, I like a bit of everything. Like there's old songs that I like that I used to listen to years ago that, I probably maybe a bit too old to be listening to, but it's it's nostalgia, like, so just always guilty pleasures, I suppose, in terms of music. KB Dave saying I was watching Toto and Tears for Fears the other day. Yeah, Toto have a couple of good songs. Like I only know the main ones, but like I said, there was so many good groups years ago. Like music these days isn't the same. There are some good bands out there, like don't get me wrong, but like it's not. I like there was so many good bands years ago. It's I just after saying what Dave said there, it says speaking of heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne wants to leave America because in his words it's getting too crazy. If it's getting too crazy for Ozzy Osbourne, then I'm afraid the world is ending. You know what I mean? That man bit the head off a bat, didn't he? you know, and like remember he was like fairly old when he had that crash and all that, like, and he's still on the go. But I think he doesn't Ozzy has Parkinson's or something, doesn't he? But yeah, I suppose maybe it is getting a bit too mad for him, and I wonder where he'll go. Did he say where he wants to go? Yeah, Ozzy. I remember the show, The Osbournes. That was pretty interesting. I was I can't even remember how old I was when that was on, but like I do remember some of it. Um, and actually, just when we're speaking of kind of reality shows as well, I just was looking at a thing the other day about the guys that did that show Jackass. One of the guys that was on that, he was really big in skating and all that, was your man Bam Margera, and I see he's doing pretty bad at the moment. He's got really bad on drugs and stuff like that. And like they're kind of worried about him. Like I think he got thrown off the last Jackass film and stuff like that. So like he went pretty downhill, and like at one stage they were like riding a wave of success because like that was like a worldwide thing. When the movie came out, like it was pretty popular. Yeah, Robertson, we're doomed. I think we are doomed if Ozzy's abandoning ship. I think the bats are starting to fly away. Yeah, music. Dave said music was actually music for the 90s, not like stuff from now, which is just noise. Yeah, even like when I was saying that I like some of the hip hop music, like the hip hop and rap music that's around now. There's a lot of garbage around. Like like I know there's always garbage music out there or whatever, but like I mean, a lot of it now is just really low effort, like and then there's an awful lot of people like coming off social media, let's say, like they get following on social media and they're releasing music or whatever, and maybe the music's not that great, but it's because of the following or whatever. It's a lot different. Like I'd say a lot of the artists now, if they came back and even saying what was kind of the state of the industry these days, they'd be quite shocked. Yeah, back to the UK, Dave said. Yeah, I presume he probably go and settle down somewhere. He probably has property over there and everything, Um, that's just a we literally never bite the head off anything. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he would have ended up with like rabies or something after that. Not good. Okay, text to see you. Said Kiwi, you're just a kid. I'm not all yet. 1953, 59 here. So I'm not all, just scraped into the 70s. Yeah, I would be surprised. Yeah, he probably is. Didn't he divorce the Sharon that he was with? Didn't that what happened? They got divorced or something. Or I know there was talk of that or something at one stage. But and I just noticed a couple of these clips that I've had, and it wasn't on purpose or not, and I noticed that a couple of these clips that I've had on tonight are actually from Texas. I know there's a few people on from Texas the last time, but yeah, there was that was strictly coincidental. Yeah, so that wasn't on purpose there. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't that like what Dave said there about the virus? That's the thing for all these weird meats and all that they eat, like in places like these weird animals that like what's that one? The reckon a pangolin or something. It's kind of like sort of like a reptile looking thing. And there's all sorts of mad stuff that they eat. That there's all these markets and everything's just lying out at them. Like yeah, it's bound to be a breeding ground for like disease and viruses and stuff like that. Understand that? I just seen you said there that they're still together, I believe. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I knew there was something going on. Yeah, but yeah. I will. Maybe they'll get back to England and it'll be a bit safe. Although who knows? Is it safe anywhere these days? Really? Although, like, to be quite honest with you, Dave, now that I'm just thinking of it, that New Zealand always ranks quite highly on, like, places that are safe to be, in terms of, like, I've seen that before somewhere. Like, New Zealand always kind of ranks up high in terms of, being safe. Because I see, like, there is a lot of unrest in places. And Texas you said it's because we have good taste here. You see, that's the thing. Yeah, we definitely have good taste here. We know we know what the rubbish is. But that's the thing. There was a lot of groups back then and all, and everything's gone too commercial now. Like, music back in the day was because a lot of the artists were, like, passionate about making music, or getting a message across to people, or getting their point out there. Like, but it's really commercial now. Like, especially, like, some of the hip hop music from back in the 90s and stuff like that. Actually, there was messages behind it, or it was trying to tell a story. But a lot of the stuff now is just about, like, talking about how much money that they have, or how many Rolexes they can get on one arm or something, like, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's quite a big difference, like. And even now, when I think about it, even, like, you see some of the footage of gigs from way back in the day when health and safety wasn't a big thing, and people seem to have more fun, and there wasn't, especially, like, nowadays, where, like, you've seen a few concerts around where there's been, like, attacks on them, from people, events and all that. And, like, back in the day, people weren't really worried about that sort of thing. You could go to a concert, like, that one they had in Manchester there, where there was that terror attack on it. Like, that's what I'm saying. You didn't have to worry about those sort of things. It was a lot. There were simpler times back then. Yeah, and Kiwi Dave said we don't have any odd animals that will kill you. No, and that's the thing. That's one thing that I always that would be my fear about. Let's say traveling to Australia is all the stuff that's out to get you. There was a friend of my grandmother's. Somebody, she used to mind kids for somebody here in Ireland, and they were moving to Australia, and they said to her, like, her husband had passed away and everything, so, like, she was just on her own there, and we're saying, why don't you move out to Australia with us, and you can still look after the kids over there, same arrangement, you just come over there, be a different lifestyle for you and all. And she said, she was thinking about it, and she went over there, and she was over there for a good while, like, a couple of months or something like that, and she had an encounter with a snake in the backyard one day, and that really done her in altogether. She didn't stay there very long, and she came back to Ireland, and she's still here. But yeah, that was enough for her. Whatever this encounter was, I remember, like, she was terrified anyway. So that was the end of that. She came home. So that's one thing that I wouldn't like, that, and the likes of the spiders and all the. I actually worked with someone that actually went out, that was living in Australia for a while. A lot of Irish people obviously moved out to Australia, and I only got an ad on YouTube the other day for, like, the government in Melbourne are looking for, or Victoria, well, Melbourne in Victoria, or whichever it is there, we're actually looking for people to come, like, medical people with medical qualifications, to work over in Australia. Now, that's been advertised here. Obviously, it's been targeted at Ireland, and a lot of Irish people are actually going to the likes of Dubai, Australia, the UK to like work when they qualify from medical school or whatever. And it's because of better quality of life and better wages. And here the health system's very strange, and a lot of them leave. So yeah. Yeah, Knife Fairy said nowadays it's a simple hook and you get paid. Yeah, that's true. Like, or it's just as long as it's something catchy, and it sticks in people's heads. That's usually, like, that song, that Gangnam Style song. Sure, that was viral. That was, like, the most viewed video on YouTube for a while, and it was just because it was catchy. It was kind of a gimmick, like, do you know what I mean? And I think that guy had, like, one other song or something like that, and then he disappeared. But yeah, most music now is just all computers. A lot of it is computers and stuff like that. There's and a lot of the bands that I used to like, the likes of Metallica and all now, like I don't follow them as closely as I did years ago and stuff like that. But when you see them now, like, then they're gone so much older than they were back, when I would have like first start listening to them and all. It's mad to see, like, do you know what I mean? And it's crazy, like, and it's I often wondered how, like, like my parents felt or something, when musicians that they were fond of or whatever ever got old or retired or, passed away or whatever. And it's kind of, now you're just kind of seeing it with some of the bands that I was into. They're getting on, and but then there you have like bands like the Rolling Stones don't look like they're ever going to stop going. Yeah, there's killer animals everywhere showing up. Even over here now, we're getting this whole thing with these false widow spiders. They're like came from the Canary Islands years ago or whatever, and they're kind of being more prevalent. They can cause people to be hospitalized, or some people if you get a bad bite from them or whatever. Like, but they're like, they're kind of becoming more of a thing. They're in the news a lot here lately because they're kind of taking over. They're an invasive species here. Like, they're kind of taking over from our own native spiders. And yeah, the quite grim thought of it. There was a young boy was bitten by one behind the ear there recently, and a young girl got bitten at night time on the lip by one of them. Now they were fine afterwards, but they kind of have an allergic reaction to them, and they swell up, and they kind of need hospitalization because you have a fever and maybe shortness of breath and stuff like that. But it's obviously not a nice experience, but like, I don't like that myself. Yeah, a lot of people say that, Dave, that Australia is expensive. Like, people that I know that have worked over there have said that it is expensive. Like, when you're going and doing your shopping and stuff over there, most of the people that like I know that have done it mainly for the lifestyle, or when there was no work going in Ireland during the recession and stuff. A lot of people left and went over there because there was a lot of work to do with, in agriculture and all over there, and in industry. A lot of Irish people went over and done that. Now I see a lot of Irish people now are going to Canada to do that, to work in like coal. I'm not sure if it's coal mining. I don't know if it's like oil sands, I think, up there in Alberta or something like that. A lot of them are going over to do stuff like that, mining and stuff. There's supposed to be decent money in that these days, and it's the quality of life as well. Like, people that leave here to go work in medical profession in Australia are mainly doing it because the system here is so choked up and they're so overworked and underpaid that it's just, even if the cost of living's a bit there in Australia, the working conditions will be a lot better, and possibly the lifestyle in terms of, you might have better weather, and it's definitely a change of scenery for some people. But a lot of people go over there and they never come back here. Yeah, Dave Maddoxon, attack possums. Yeah, what about it? What about the attack possums? That's crazy though. Yeah, with the koalas, like, koalas look really nice and all that, but yeah, they have, like, do you ever see the claws that they have? They do you some damage, I'd say. So I don't think you'll be getting any cuddles off the koalas. Yeah, sleepy and fall out of trees and then end up like coming down on somebody and knocking them unconscious or something. And then Dave saying, "What kind of work do you do?" What I used to do is I used to work in a factory that made like dog treats, and then I started working in a clothing shop, and now I'm just a carer for a family member. So that's what I kind of spend most of my time looking after them, and kind of, it was an unfortunate situation what happened, and yeah, that's kind of just that's kind of what I do. I was working up until the start of the pandemic. I'm just getting a drink there for a second, excuse me. I was working there up until the pandemic, and then obviously a family member got sick when when all that was going on, and obviously couldn't go back to work at that stage because just the circumstances around it, just it wouldn't have been fair. And as well, also when I think about it too, kind of the way stuff was going in work, it was kind of rather than getting into major details about it, it was only a part-time job anyway at the time. It was all the work that was kind of going. Now you could call it part-time, I suppose. There was some weeks you get more work than others and stuff like that, but quite interesting. I did enjoy that, like working, kind of seeing different people all the time. It was always something new every day. But the caring side of things, I suppose, can be quite rewarding in terms of, like, at least that your family members being looked after in what's going on, because you do see, I'm not saying all places are like this, but you do see horror stories of people being put into like care homes and stuff, and then bad things happening to them, or maybe their needs aren't being fully met and all. And it's nice that if you can be kind of cared for in your own home, your own setting, like, you know what I mean, it's much more comfortable for people, and it's kind of rewarding in that terms, that like if you can do something to help, that sort of thing. But and then Dave said there, Aussie. No, I'm just having a look there. Oh yeah, Aussie is way better weather than Ireland. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. It's just for the lifestyle as well, and just to see somewhere different. There's a lot of stuff to see in Australia as well, and yeah, and that's the thing here as well. Just in terms of, like, let's say carers over here, there's a lot of people that are in need of like a full-time carer, and there's not enough people doing it. Like, you know what I mean? There are companies, like private companies, that do caring, but like, that obviously costs people money and all, or whatever, and some people don't have that. But there are things in place and all that, but you see, like, a lot of people don't, especially depending on what age you are. When I always think that if someone could be looked after at home, it's a lot better than going into a nursing home, where it's like, the people are unfamiliar, and obviously you get to know people when you're living there, but you know what I mean, it's nice to be surrounded by family and stuff like that. But yeah, carers are in big demand. Mental health workers is another thing that's in big demand. There's not enough of. And crisis, as I mentioned before, on the horizon here is GPs, just general doctors in the community, because over the next 6 to 7 years, there's going to be a couple of hundred GPs around this country retiring, and there's definitely not that many going to fill the void. So there's going to be a crisis. They're already stretched as it is, and there's waiting lists and stuff like that. So yeah, it's more attractive for people to travel abroad and work abroad, to be quite honest. And the government here is basically, I think, are asleep at the wheel in terms of the drain that's going with the talent and people that are qualified. It's just going out the door. And I'm not begrudging, like, people, you have to do what you have to do to survive. If I have no problem with people wanting to leave for a better life, and it's up to the government here to make it more attractive for these people to stay here. Like, some people don't want to move away. It's just a case of having to. Who wants to spend 4 or 5 years of your life doing a degree or going to college or whatever, medical school, or whatever you do, getting your qualifications, and either there's no jobs, or the jobs are low paying, or by the time you get your wages at the end of the week, it's all gone. So I see, like, why people would do that. Yeah, and Dave said there, and that's the thing, and I feel for you with what you said there about dementia. It's very that sort of that is a very hard one, that and Alzheimer's and stuff like that, because it's it's so sad, because it's you understand when people get like diseases and stuff that are have physical implications in terms of like cancers and stuff like that, and heart problems, and like whatever, stuff like that. You understand when people physically being able, but when physically, like what I'm trying to say is that physically they'll be there. They mightn't be able to, walk, or it might be as mobile, but it's when the mind starts going is that it's really tough, because it's hard to communicate. It's hard to get day-to-day things done, and you know what I mean. It is tough, like yeah, and it's tough. Everywhere is very understaffed, and Dave's heading on, and thanks very much for joining us here tonight, Dave. It was good to see you, and I hope to see you on the next one. And take care and have a good day as well. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of places are stretched thin at the moment, and yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, especially with like diseases of the mind and stuff like that, to have specialist people is what you need. Like, and yeah, that's tough when it gets to that stage when you have to do that. And I do feel for people that are in that position. But yeah, so that's the thing that guys, like when like you have a drain that much on, like, people like that, talented people that are going away, like it's going to have a knock-on effect on services, and people are going to suffer. But you definitely need to have more action by the government in order to keep people here. And I'm a believer in taking care of your folks when they're old. But I know it's hard to do for a lot of people. Nursing homes are expensive too. Yeah, some people are kind of caught in a catch-22 situation where, like, they might be working and all to support their own families, and there mightn't be a family member there to, like, to have the time to take care. Not that they don't have the time, but literally don't have the time. But they'd love to be able to do it, but they can't for whatever reasons. And then at the same time, the nursing home thing is very expensive, and it's very hard. Like, and that's why in the situation that I'm in, the people would rather. I think people would rather as well, like you're saying, to be taken care of by their own people in their own home, in their own familiar settings. Like, like people have pets and stuff that they do, and stuff like that, and it's very hard to leave all that. And I find that, like, a lot of people can kind of, you don't want someone to kind of get down on themselves, and if they're there with family members and all as well, and you kind of know the person better than somebody else as well, so you always feel like you can read the person better if they're not okay or whatever. So yeah, but obviously when it gets to the stage that, like, you're not able to cope, well, then obviously if it's the best thing for the person's health, in their best interest, then obviously, yeah, I understand in those situations. And you also said there that it's sad we've as a culture have moved away from it, especially in the USA. And yeah, and I see as well, like, there's a lot of that with people are a lot busier, I suppose, with their careers and families and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't like the idea, the stereotypical thing that you see, in The Simpsons, the way grandpa's just shoved in an old folks home and forgotten about, and they only kind of go over there when they have to, and I don't like that. It makes me feel sad, but it is a good stereotype, because there is families out there that are like that, where like, I don't mind if you have to send someone into a nursing home or whatever for their own benefit, but at least go visit the people. But, like, there are people out there that aren't really the best intentioned people, and they just see people as a burden, let's say, and they're just like, oh, it's different when you get to the stage where you can't cope, like when their needs are what you can't provide for. But, like, for these people that are well able to do it, and just to shove somebody in, it's very sad, especially if it's a parent. Like, they're the people that, like, literally raised you and provided for you, and now you can't even have the decency to kind of extend a hand. You just want to shove them in and let someone else look after them. Obviously, as I said, though, if it, if that's it, if that is what's better, then that's obviously the thing. But there are people out there that it's convenient for to do that. So yeah, just to I have just one or two little more things to show there. this one is a clip. This is the one I was talking about. Where this is just kind of, this is completely just changing up a little bit there, but just want to get a couple of these little clips out of it. This one is a guy, this is what I was talking about at the start of the stream, where it's a guy resisting arrest, and this one was entitled on YouTube "Religiously Resisting," and my friend sent it to me the other day, and I just thought it was a funny video, and yeah, we'll just take a look at this. It's actually in 3 little sections because I just want to comment on something. But I'll just play the first part here anyway. We'll take a look at this. Some of you may have seen this now. This is quite an old clip, but he sent it to me the other day because he says it never gets old. And I personally hadn't seen this before, and I just thought it was a quite funny clip. And I believe this guy may be a bit of a sovereign citizen, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
There's a warrant out for
what? For changing my name. Look it up. What is that?
Put your hands behind your back.
I am not.
Put your hands.
I am not going with you. I object to this. This is not legal. You guys that do not own me, I'm not your property. It's illegal.
You're under arrest right now.
For what? What charge? What is the charge? For what charge?
Now you're reasonable, please.
What is the charge?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Do you have no compassion in your life?
You're under arrest.
What for? What is the
matter.
charge?
Okay.
It matters to me. It's my life, and that is my wife.
That's right.
And I am at peace with every man in the nation, and you men are violent. And this needs not to be. All I did was change my name, and your evil witch queen says it's not allowed to be.
You're resisting.
I am resisting your aggressions against me in favor that they are illegal. And I am not your property, and I have changed my name, and I am not a criminal, and I am never in crime, and I'm at peace.
Well, you heard the guy there. He's never in crime and he's at peace. So why are they giving him such a hard time? It wouldn't be the fact that he has a warrant out for him and he is actually not letting him give him a chance to explain why they're arresting him. But yeah, so yeah, he's claiming innocence here, but yeah, clearly as Dave's saying, now the charge is resisting. Yeah, he can be, Knife Fairy says he can be at peace in a cell. He can definitely be at peace in a cell. Definitely he will end up in a cell. But yeah, let's just cut back in and to the next piece.
You understand you're under arrest?
I am understanding less of anything that you say. I do not speak your language. I am less than I am in your kingdom. I do not belong to you. I belong to my Father in heaven, and his name is Yahweh! 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 I call in prayer and invoke the angels and archangels in favor protection, that it be then heaven's bless, that I have less that I am in their hands, but that it is I am at peace with my Father in heaven, and I am in bless in life, and I favor that you are illegal in your actions, and I call on the compassions of the universe in favor, and I say it is less that I can be. I am a poet and an artist.
He's a poet and an artist apparently as well. So you know, they're affecting his creativity here. He's only trying to express himself, and a lot of word salad there as well. Yeah, yeah. Changing your name doesn't mean your warrant goes away. Yeah, that's what some of them think. Just as soon as you like, just change your name and like your past is just forgotten about. Yeah, he's claiming in the video, Dave, that he legally changed his name, but some queen of theirs or whatever. Like for a second, I thought this was in Canada for a second because I was thinking, why is he bringing up a queen or something like that? But I think it's actually in the United States. I think he's just, you know, a bit delusional there. But yeah, Knife Fairy said for his whole rant, I was waiting for him to say he's his own grandpa. But here's the thing: he just said he was an artist, right? So what type of artist? Well, it looks like he's an artist in the musical sense because we're about to have a sing-song. I've never seen anybody have a sing-song while resisting arrest. So this is quite unique.
and I sing a song less for you. 7 ways less the boys in blue. I favor less the thunder in your ears. I'm 7 ways it's less I shed your tears. I'm favored in the way I am less to you today. I'm less that I would favor anything I savor in the day. I'm fevered in the bliss, it's less I see. Favor less the way is less. The boys in blue for me. I'm fevered in the day. I am a man of might. It's less that I belong to you. It's less that I would fight, but it's less that I would marry you. Favor less is less you're bright. I am the man who is less than me. 7 ways favored in the song I sing from sea to sea.
Understand you're under arrest.
It's less I name you Jubilee. Jubilee. Jubilee downtown, favor off. It's less I turn my head and cough for you. I am a Jew. I belong.
There's no need to use a taser.
He is illegally tasering me. I am defending myself in favor of that.
About that there, guys. The thing froze on me there for a second, and it just wouldn't let me stop playing that. The second time, it just started automatically playing again. But yeah, that guy there. I don't know what the sing song was going to achieve. Yeah, nothing was really making sense. Yeah, Night Vision. I wonder if you can get that on Spotify. I'd say so. I'd say that's going to be a trending tune. Very, very lyrically on point there. Yeah, the guy's definitely he's just crazy. He said he's defending himself. Like, what is he talking about? Like, I just don't understand it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, the police seemed like they kind of just gave up too easy there. But I'm kind of hoping that they did get him later. But they obviously know who he is, and I think the person that was recording was actually his wife. So, like, I presume his vehicle's probably there or something like that. But yeah, but I was surprised when, like, he was being tasered and he actually got away. But yeah, a bit of a sticky situation there. But yeah, a bit crazy. I don't know what people will be thinking though, but I know that clip was from a while back. But yeah, I can see that's going to be one of those ones that never gets old. But yeah, he should definitely keep at the tunes there anyway. You know, like he'll get somewhere eventually. But yeah, he could. I was just saying there that in the I have a new sponsor for the channel coming up. Obviously, like, as you know, from time to time we have to take on these sponsors, but this is a good time to they haven't furnished me with a commercial yet, but we're going to be having a new sponsor, especially like this guy here is a perfect candidate because he seems like a bit of a sovereign citizen, and he was singing, so I presume he was under the influence, you know. So he was probably under the influence of this finest new beverage that is on the market now. We'll just take a look. Sovereign on the Rocks, which is premium Admiralty whiskey. So, you know, he was probably on the Sovereign on the Rocks that night. And on the rocks obviously signifies the fact that it's a shipwreck. It's a disaster. And yeah, we will have a commercial for that coming up soon. But yeah, that'll be inserted into a sovereign citizen video somewhere. But we have to take these dodgy these dodgy sponsorships from time to time. But yeah, definitely one for the sovereigns there, like, because you have your Frauded or Thunder, which that guy could have done with see, you could mix the Sovereign on the Rocks with Frauded or Thunder, which would make it the ultimate drink in terms of, if you got tased. That's probably why that guy was invincible. That's why the taser didn't do nothing. He had the super strength. He threw the cops off and ran off. I believe he's still running somewhere. But yeah, definitely, and this will be coming to stores near you soon. Definitely one for the sovereigns out there. Just see David saying, how is that illegally tased you? You resisted. Yeah, I don't know what he's on about illegally tasing. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, see, the older episodes of Cops were like they were really like, there was some crazy stuff went on in it, and there was no nonsense, like, you know what I mean? I would actually love to see back in the day them coming across a few frauditors or sovereign citizens, but see, that's the thing, there wasn't a lot of that back then in terms of what you see now. Now, as we were saying, like, a lot of it's just for the clout, like, you know what I mean? It's just for the it's just for the sake of it, like, and like what I was saying there earlier as well, like, because to become more brazen now, because obviously social media, like we were saying, and stuff like that. But yeah, and like the police definitely should be harder in certain circumstances. Like we were saying, a lot of them just get a slap on the wrist. And this other clip that I wanted to show here is basically this happened in Thailand, right? It's basically the police got a call that there was a bunch of people, messing around on motorcycles in the city somewhere. So they went out after these guys on their own motorcycles. But this is a pretty hands-on approach. And I don't know if anyone's ever played the old PlayStation game called Road Rash, where you used to do a motorbike racing on the streets, but you used to have to, like, you used to get weapons and stuff, and you used to have to kick and beat the other players off their motorcycles as you were going along the road. Well, this sort of thing reminds me of that. But we could probably do with more of this, especially for these like moped gangs and all that are going around in the UK and all that you see. But yeah, this is just a little clip that I wanted to show to kind of finish up the stream with. Yeah, let's just take a look at this anyway. It's this happened in Thailand, as I said, and yeah, it's quite bizarre. But yeah, let's have a look at this. That guy on the bike there looked really young. And he looked pretty scared as well. But of course, you'd be when there's some guy brandishing a baton trying to knock you off the bike. But yeah, they were hitting some speeds there, like Dave saying that they can move. Yeah, like they were hitting some big speeds there, and you know, any car could have come out of a side road because you know, like that's over in Thailand there, and some of the roads can be quite congested over there. So I was expecting when I was looking at that clip for something to come out, but yeah. I can imagine there, like Knifers, and I feel bad for that guy. I can imagine he was probably given a beat down by the police because they seem fairly hands on there, to be quite honest. Like, and you know, like you wouldn't really see that over here or in the United States. Like that, it'd be far too dangerous. Not just for the police officer themselves that could come off the bike, but for if they hit somebody off the bike and they end up injuring or killing them, like, you know, that's not good. Yeah, I'm wondering, do are any of those sort of mopeds that they have there are the kind of souped up ones or something like that? Like the backstory of that is that they were kind of the police got a call that there was these people kind of up to no good around the town, like the city or whatever, on mopeds. There was a gang of them. Now I don't know why they singled out that guy in particular. Like maybe they had got some sort of a report on him in particular or something like that. But yeah, I thought he was going to get away for a minute there, but he seemed to kind of just give up at the end. Probably quite lucky for him that he decided to give up when he did, like, because he, you know, it was only a matter of time before he probably came off the thing. So yeah, situations like that are very scary. Yeah, but it's mad to see people so young out there. But I don't know what way the law works over there, whether you can be on those really young. Over here, like you have to be 16. Now he could be just a really young looking kind of 16, 17-year-old. But yeah, he looked pretty scared there as well. That's what a lot of people in the comments on that were saying, that that guy looked pretty afraid when he was, and that's the thing. He looks like he's just young. He's just probably in with the wrong crowd there. But like we were saying about those moped gangs as well, um, really bad in London in regards to like people could be just standing on the side of the road with their mobile phone and a gang will come along and snatch your phone or your purse or something like that. So it's a big problem over there. And the police had a policy over there of not chasing these people because it was seen as far too dangerous, not just for members of the public, but also for the people that were on the mopeds. And they just kind of became brazen then because they knew the police weren't going to chase them. So it just became more prevalent. And then the actual policy was reversed. And now they're allowed to actually make contact with the moped, like, you know, because it's now saying that these people know what the risks are. They're out committing crimes, you know, and like they have to expect that there's risks in that and they will be stopped by the police. So, you know, it's good to see that they're taking a better approach with that. And Minister Arthur Wesley saying, "Hey, Degenerate Watch, how was the memorial for Her Majesty? Did you attend? Sorry for your country's loss." I'm actually from Ireland, so the Queen's over in England in the UK. But yeah, I did actually. I watched it on some of it on the TV. It was quite interesting, to be honest with you, because it's something that we don't normally like see. Like now I know King Charles is pretty old there, like, and you know, maybe in my lifetime we might see that sort of a funeral again or something like that. But it was quite a spectacle in terms of, you know, it's a real old tradition and stuff like that. And it was crazy to see it, like, you know, because when I was looking, I was kind of looking at it through the eyes of, well, you know, hundreds of years ago when this was a thing. Like that's where it all originates from, you know, tradition for hundreds of years back. It's just mad to think, you know, that's still going on in this modern day. Yeah, quite interesting. And obviously, like, she was well liked in the UK and around the world. I don't see King Charles being as popular as, you know, as she was. But yeah, it's yeah, it was crazy to see. It's just something totally different, you know. Night Ferry saying you don't have to have a license over here for them. They can't go over 20 or 25 miles an hour, I believe. Yeah, I think over here, like when you can't, yeah, it's only like you're limited to what you can have. I think from the age of 16 to 18, you're allowed to have like, I think it's up to 125cc engine. I think it's something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Something like that anyway. It's kind of lower. And then like once you get older, you can go to more high powered, like a motorcycle or whatever. But yeah, you do need a license over here. At the moment, they're kind of only legislating for, those e-scooters, the electric powered scooters. They're becoming more popular over here because there's a lot of people on the roads with them. That comes up quite frequently, and they're actually legislating to, like, they're making them legal, because at the moment, like, up until now, they were illegal to be on the road with them. You were supposed to have insurance and all that, but now, because of, the way things are going with, like, kind of the whole talk of the environment and all that, they're kind of trying to encourage people to leave the car behind, so they're legislating for these e-scooters, and you don't need a license or anything for those. Like, you would have had to before, because they were technically considered, a mechanically propelled vehicle, but now they're legislating to have them separated, so people can use them, more freely. Yeah, Diana was one, like, I remember bits of when Diana died, but that was a very sad and tragic thing. And as well, like, if we just like kind of park, let's say, the conspiracy theory side of the whole thing, because there is a lot of conspiracy theories around Diana's death and all that. But if we kind of look at it from a point of view of that, what they're saying about the paparazzi chasing her and all that, and she was like, constantly hounded by the paparazzi, like, kind of, you do see that in things where the press kind of, have a part to play in a lot of these things, especially when it comes to putting pressure on celebrities and stuff like that. Yeah, but that was a sad one. I felt really bad as well for the two sons, because well, pardon me. I felt sorry for the two sons, because not only did like that marriage break up, and they're saying their mother and father split up, but at the same time, they lost their mother then so tragically, and there was a whole load of controversy through that. And then when Charles got with like when he married Camilla and all that, like, it's a big thing for them, like, and I can see how there's like, there's a bit of friction within, because like you hear stories about what goes on and all, but like you don't know the real relationship dynamic that goes on between them all. And I'd say there's a lot of I don't know, just from, in my opinion, I think, at least maybe even with Prince Harry, he probably has a bit of resentment towards what happened to his mother, and in terms of Charles and Camilla, and maybe that's why he's distanced himself as well. Like, we'll probably never really know the true ins and outs of everything, but and see the thing as well there, like, you don't mind people like college kids and all that are going to ride them like responsibly. You don't mind people that are going to be responsible with things like that, like, but with these like with these e-scooters, what's happening over here is that there's a lot of young people using them that don't really have any road sense, and if they're talking about here, all people having to familiarize themselves with the rules of the road, but there's a lot of these kids, like, they're just being handed these scooters, and they're not really like told much about, they're just sent out on the road on them. And like, I was driving my car one day, and there was a guy in front of me, and he was driving his scooter thing in the middle of the road, and like, I couldn't pass him by because he was literally in the middle of the road. But I only realized after like tailing him for about 2 minutes that he was pulling to the opposite side of the road. For this young lad was only about 13 or 14. He was pulling to the opposite side of the road to let me pass him. And I was thinking, what are you doing? Like, you should pull in closer to the curb and let me pass you on the outside. Why are you going onto the opposite side of the road? And he was doing this for ages, and then he started looking back at me as in like, come through, like. So like, I had to pass, I passed him by, but as I was passing him by, I was slowly passing him by, but as I was passing by, I was thinking, he's not even thinking, because if a car comes now, like, he's on the opposite side of the road, like, and it was in a residential area, like the cars were going to be traveling slow, but you know, there's a potential there. But I'm just saying he had no road sense whatsoever. But he was just, you know, told the mother, "Oh, I'm going down to my friend's house on the scooter," like, and she thought, "Oh, grand, it's only down the road." But like, you know, you don't know who you're going to meet on the road, and they don't have any road sense. So I don't know how they're going to educate the young people on that, because a lot of them that are even out on bicycles, they don't look when they're just come out in front of you on the road, like it's crazy. Robert Morley saying night owl mode close to 4 a.m. in Ireland. Yeah, it's exactly 3:56 by my computer here, and I will be heading to bed very shortly. But yeah, it's kind of when you start the stream as well, you don't really know how long you're kind of go. I do have a few clips, and to be quite honest with you, when I had the clips there earlier, I thought to myself, oh, I don't know if that's going to be enough clips, you know, for the live stream. That was kind of my issue as well on Saturday. I was thinking, oh, I don't have enough clips. But it's when you play a few clips and then you start having a chat about stuff and all, you don't realize the time going by, you know. And kind of that last clip I played there with the chase in Thailand there, that was the last clip I had to play anyway. But like I thought, like, oh, I wouldn't even, you know, an hour wouldn't even pass, you know what I mean? But yeah, Dave Marrick saying you need a credit card to use an e-scooter over there. And that's the thing. It should be like that for when people are hiring them out. I don't know what way it's going to work here, because there's a few companies now going to start operating in Dublin and all, like hiring them out. But yeah, you do need to something like that would make people be a bit more responsible. And then Dave's also saying, so I hope an adult will be renting for the kid and tell them the rules, and that's what you'd hope, like, you know, that, or if the parents are buying them for the kids, that actually like teach them, like I know, like even a lot of like myself and a lot of people that I grew up with now, like, yeah, you'd be told when you were given a bike or anything, you know, to like be careful on the road. You were told what, you know, basically what to do, what to look out for and stuff. Because I even remember back years ago, I remember my uncle gave me this. It was like a set of headphones, but it had a radio built into it. It was really like 90s tech, you know, and it was built into these headphones. And I was thinking, oh, great, I can use that while I'm on my bicycle. Like, and I remember saying that in front of him, and he was like, if you're going to do that, I'm not giving them to you. And I was thinking, what are you talking about? And then he was like, you're not going to wear a set of headphones playing the radio a full blast on a bicycle going around the road, like, until you get hit by a car. And I was thinking, oh, actually, you know, you're right, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, maybe that sort of sense isn't around anymore. But yeah, but then as well, like we were told that, but then back in my uncle's day, they probably wouldn't have been told. It would have been like, you know, let them learn the hard way. But you know, things weren't as dangerous as they are today, like back then. But you know, there wouldn't be cars around like that to be getting hit with. It's far too dangerous these days. And I'm just after going and having a check there, Robert. Robert's just saying to check the Instagram there. And I have to say, there my phone was trying to get me to update it there. I have to say, I like your cars, Dave. Or Robert, sorry, I got confused there. No, I like your cars there, Robert. The 2020 McLaren GT and the 2021 Tesla Model S. Well, just having a look there. I like the contrast, the way you have a black and a white as well, but the McLaren looks very sporty. And what's the engine size in the McLaren? That's pretty nice now, Robert. I like the interior as well. And how would you drive that like regularly, or would it be kind of, you'd just be more, the Tesla's kind of your everyday car, and then the other one's kind of like for your special occasion driving, sort of? Yeah, I was thinking that it'd be kind of a car for the special occasions and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. I definitely there's no way I'd be taking that to Walmart, especially when you see the craziness that goes on at Walmart. I wouldn't like to no, no. It'd be too it'd be too much of a danger. At least with the Tesla, like you'd have all the cameras on it just in case something happened like that. Plus I guarantee you the McLaren is much more expensive. So there's definitely no point of risking it. But yeah, I have to say I do like the Teslas in the white, and I like them in the red as well. Um I've seen a couple of kind of navy colored ones, kind of bluey navy ones. I don't like them as nice as I don't find them as nice as the white or the red now. I actually only seen a red one the other day. It was pretty nice. But I think it was what's the other model? It wasn't a Model S. I haven't actually seen that many of them actually in person or anything. It's mostly the other model. And I don't know what they were here in Ireland. I think I'm not 100% sure. I remember seeing something somewhere where someone was saying that there was somebody giving a review of Tesla, and they were saying how much they paid for it here, but it was fairly expensive here compared to, let's say, a standard petrol car. Well, it's all relative, I suppose. It could have been, yeah, it could have been a Model X or something. There's a few of the SUVs going around now. But I do see Tesla seems to be one of the more popular ones. There's a few kind of Volkswagen electric cars going around. That Nissan have one called the Nissan Leaf. There's a few of those going around, but there's a lot of Teslas now. There seems to be, but yeah, no, I definitely like the cars. That the McLaren would have to be my favorite though, and that's kind of one of those sort of dream cars. And with the price tag as well there, yeah, definitely not one for Walmart anyway. Um, definitely not. But yeah, definitely. Thanks for sending me those. Yeah, it's kind of nice to see what people are driving and stuff like that as well. Like it's kind of it's interesting. My car is just a modest Ford Fiesta. Um, I don't know how long I've had it now. I've had it a good few years, but it's one of those kind of what would you say? It's kind of like a workhorse sort of a car. It just kind of it's an A to B sort of a thing. Um, yeah, 1.2 liter engine, so definitely be left for dust. Um, but yeah, Ford. It was Ford, but not manufactured in America. I think it was manufactured in England. Um, And then Robertson as well. American manufacturers will catch up and be more competitive. Yeah, I can see maybe down the road more like even maybe more companies coming online, or like some companies out there. Like a lot of companies are starting to dabble into electric cars now. Um, you're seeing it more and more. I think most companies are developing something if they don't already have something out. Um, I'd be interested to see now, like with the likes of the McLaren, will they ever bring out something like that, electric or electric Ferrari or Lamborghini or something like that? It'd be interesting to see, and just see what sort of like ranges and speeds they get. Because as I was saying to you, anything that I've seen, I obviously people say that the electric cars are much more responsive. You know what I mean? Um, You said, "Oh, the Tesla is a full second faster over the McLaren," and that probably is to do with that whole with the electric. Because I don't know what it is with the petrol engines or petrol diesel or whatever. There's that sort of lag, isn't there, when you accelerate? Whereas with the electric cars, it's like the power is like on tap immediately. Um, yeah, so it's quite interesting. Be interesting to see some electric car racing as well, like just to see what sort of what that's like, or even some races, electric versus petrol and stuff like that. You would definitely agree with the likes of battery range and all that. They do need to with some cars as well, because that I think that's what many people's fear of purchasing an electric car is to do with range. People have this fear of getting stuck somewhere. You know what I mean? And kind of being caught short, like. But then again, like there is a lot of incentives with governments at the moment, like for people. You know, where they're giving grants for cars, or like over here at the moment, they're doing this. They have a grant at the moment that if you want to get one of those electric charging points put into your house, they're giving you some, a certain amount of money off the price of it or whatever. Like if you get it done now, I can see a lot of people that have the money to do it are probably going to go ahead and do it, even if they don't have an electric car. It's just kind of like a future-proofing thing for your house. It's probably a good addition to have in your house to say that you have a properly installed charge point. Even if you don't have a car, it might add some value to you, especially the way things are going, I suppose. Yeah, I must actually look that up there, Robert, on YouTube for some of the videos and stuff like that. That'd be interesting to see. Especially especially the way things are going. I know like everything when it starts off, like, it's not as you suppose you can call it in its primitive stages or whatever, but after a couple of years and with more competition obviously in the market and all, like, and they'll have to develop better batteries, and you might even, like when you're saying about like the Tesla's dual motors, you might even come up with, they might even have better setups than that. You might even get faster acceleration and stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting time for like the automotive scene in the way that things are changing so much. But I think it'll be very hard to get people fully away from like petrol engines or whatever, because a lot of people are set in their ways as well. And like, you think of the amount of equipment that runs on like fossil fuels at the moment, like construction equipment, farming equipment. Like, it's going to take such a long time to convert every single combustion engine to an electric, and like, I just don't see that happen in the very near future. It's probably a long time off. Like, there's given a lot of targets, like especially here and all, where they want like to be no petrol cars by like these mad dates like 2030 and all. Like, that's only 8 years away, not even full 8 years away, because like, this year's coming to a close soon, like. So yeah, it's crazy times though, for everything does seem to be changing. But I think like on the whole political side of it, or government side of it, that they're kind of getting ahead of themselves. I think that people are going to adapt to this much quicker than it's actually happening. And yeah, that might be where the pitfall is. People don't like to feel like they're being pushed into something. They want to make that choice themselves. And a lot of people are saying here it's kind of been, the whole electric car thing has been pushed on people at the moment. And at the moment, for some people, it's just not affordable. Here, like, to purchase the car and to, the infrastructure at home for chargers and all this. And that's what they're saying. It's just not there. Especially they need better infrastructure out and about as well. Like, there's very little public charging infrastructure. The ESB is kind of like a national power company or whatever. They would have chargers around the place for people to charge their electric cars, but like, they're the kind of only public ones. There are ones in like service stations and all that are run by the service station, but like, it's kind of hit and miss. But it is coming along. Like supermarkets and all, you can see over here are starting to put in charging points, and even new build businesses and stuff like that that's part of the plans. So yeah, it is changing a lot. It'll be interesting to see over the next few years. Yeah, and that's you're just saying that most does all forms of finance. He's also doing insurance, and that's another thing I can see as well with some companies now, taking everything in house. Providing a full package, so you go to the dealership and you can literally get your whole your whole setup from the one place. Like if they have the finance, like the Tesla, like definitely has the finance there. But like I'm saying, if you know if they have the finance to back up and they're able to provide insurance and stuff like that, yeah, like that's what I mean. Like it's pretty good, and that's what I mean. That's a good incentive to people if they're able to get the car on a finance agreement, and you know get everything, you know, in the one shop. Let's just say, that way you're not kind of like paying. You know, you might get a better price in terms of if you get everything together, maybe. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder will more companies start doing that. They definitely need that here. There is grants over here for like electric cars and all that, but they're not quite there yet, like in terms of being appealing enough to people to take the step. Yeah, that's interesting. The thing with the driving safety, and I'm wondering, like, will that be a thing, like going down the road where they'll have more of this sort of like if we go way down the road into the future, would they ever have something like a facial recognition in a car that is somehow this is real 1984 type stuff, like, but is linked to some like server, and it can tell that you're disqualified from driving and it won't let you start the car. Like, I wonder will we ever reach that level of stuff? That would be scary, I think. Something that crazy, like, but yeah, I wouldn't be against like some cars kind of having these standard sort of breathalyzer things and all in them, so people can't actually drink drive. But yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. Yeah, Night Fairy and Dave Malik are both saying they're heading on. Night Fairy saying, well, it's time to settle for the night in my house. Enjoy the stream. You all take care. You take care too, Night Fairy. It was nice to see you here. And thank you very much for joining us. And I hope you'll join us for the next live stream. It should be on Friday or Saturday night. I'll put a community post up when I'm going to do that. And I hope to see you then. And also to Dave. Dave said, I'm going to head out. Had a good time. See you all next time. And had a good time too, Dave. Good to see you. And hope you have a good day. Hope everyone has a good day as well. Yeah, hope to see you too as well, Dave, at the at the live stream. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought there. And luckily, Dave is headed off, or Dave would definitely pull me up on that one. Kiwi Dave would pull me up on that one there. Yeah, so yeah, good to see you all, and I hope you had a good time, and hope to see you on the next one. Yeah, and I think yeah, we will leave it there. I should head off to bed. It's about 4:15 in the morning here. Gonna get a little drink of water or something. Definitely no coffees or nothing, because that would just that would be the end of that. And yeah, get a bit of a rest and all. And I should be working on some videos over the next couple of days. So hopefully I'll have another video up before the next live stream. And yeah, just with being a bit sick there last week and all, it really did kind of slow things down. But had been working on a few things, and I'll yeah, I should have something by the end of the week, hopefully. But yeah, thanks to everybody for joining me, and thanks to anyone that's watching it back on the replay. And I really appreciate everyone coming, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. And I hope to see you all very soon. And take care, everyone. And as well, thanks to Robert for sending me those photographs. It was nice to see your cars, and safe driving. So see you all very soon, and take care. And whatever you're going to do for the rest of your day or night, enjoy and take care. And take care, Texas. See you. It was good to see you. See you next time.